pockets. I always hate sitting in jeans when I got shit in my pockets. It used to bug me, but now it always does.
Dude, then whenever you put out the Zen, it tempted me for a second. Then I remembered.
Right? You were just comatose in the corner.
I don't think you understand, dude. Like, I was fucking struggling. That's your water, by the way, that one down there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, Zins are fucking fun.
They're deadly, because like, it looks like it's like a fucking icebreaker.
Oh, yeah, no, they just look like mints, and then you fucking put it in your mouth, and next thing you know, you're just like, oh, Jesus, this is bad.
Dude, they should test, like, nicotine products on, like, mentally ill people just to see how they react.
Well, dude, that's the weird thing. So, like, have you heard about, like... So, like, nicotine, the actual substance, apparently isn't bad for you.
Yeah, it's just addictive.
It's addictive, but it's, like, a great nootropic. Like, it's great for, like, brain health, memory, I don't know, like,
it's good
a
for,
bunch
like,
of shit.
archers, whenever, like, right before they
for
shoot.
focusing. Dude, so before I go on stage...
Still fries your heart, though, right?
No.
What's up?
It still fries your heart, though, right?
No, nicotine? No. It's like a...
It's usually
it
the
operates in
method
your
of how you
brain.
get it.
Now, like, obviously there's drawbacks. Like, if you smoke or chew, you're more likely to get, like, circulation issues, high blood pressure, stuff like that. But the actual nicotine, like, I bet if you just chewed, like, Nicorette gum or whatever, you'd probably be fine. Fuck, I might switch to Nicorette, actually.
That's the issue, is it's like... it's not really the nicotine that's the issue. Like, it makes it addictive, so people are like, oh, well, if it addicts people to it, you got to stop it. But it's like, it's actually like the cigarette that fucks people up, not
Yeah,
the
it's like the
nicotine in it.
carcinogens, like the tar and the fucking, all the chemicals in the filters.
The formaldehyde.
The Chinese vapes.
Dude, we were talking about how they test Chinese, like, and in Chinese factories where they're making vapes, they'll have someone sitting down, like, hitting 150.
Yeah.
It's probably just some old, like, 97-year-old Chinese lady who's just like she smokes like 3 packs a day, and that's also her job.
Dude, I would love to think that that's what it was, because then she's living a dream, but I seriously doubt that, and I think that it's more likely that it was like a political enemy that's in a war camp.
It was like 17-year-old little dudes, because they're probably like going to be dead in 3 years doing that shit.
That is, well,
Dude,
yeah.
because they're not getting the...
It's not good nicotine. It's like the oily shit. Isn't it like, because that's why one of the reasons they were trying to ban vapes was like, apparently when you inhale a lot of the nicotine, I don't know, because like it basically works like a weed pen, you know, like it vaporizes it and then goes into your lungs. So apparently over like extended use, the oils will like switch back into a liquid or whatever and get like coated on the inside of your lungs.
I'm so glad I don't fucking vape anymore. I used to do it in high school because like it was cool to do it. Like,
Right.
not even because I enjoyed it. Like, literally, I was like, oh, this is cool.
Oh yeah, it was just fun.
And then whenever I was like trying to go to sleep, like I would just want to hit it so bad, and it would be like, it wouldn't do anything to me anymore, but I was like, you know what, I'm still gonna do it. But like now I just like kind of stopped, and like I can hit like other people's stuff where it's like, you have Zins, I'm like, oh yeah, cool, I'll do one of those and die. Or like my friend has a vape and I'm like, yeah, I'll hit that once, but it's not like a burning itch anymore.
Right. Well, dude, even with Zins, like, fuck, I mean, like, most nights, like, I'll be, like, showered, laying in bed, gonna go to bed, and, like, 5 minutes before I'm actually gonna try to fall asleep, I'll just be like, I kind of want a Zin. I kind of want one. And then I'll put one in, and then I'm awake for another fucking hour.
Dude.
And it's just like, why am I doing this to myself?
My friend Richard, I work at Panasonic, and he was there at Panasonic with me, and we are mixers, and we go upstairs in like these A60 suits, which are basically like spacesuits.
Okay.
And like he would fucking take like 4 Zins and like have all 4 of them in.
Oh, yeah.
And he would just be fine up there, and I took one time, like a 6, and I knew that was gonna happen. Like, cause like I literally was like laying down about to throw up, and I was like, I had to go downstairs and like take my shit off and threw up. Dude, I actually threw up, and I was like, how do you... He had 4, and he was just like, yeah, this is normal.
Dude. When I was doing, so now that I like don't do construction anymore, I'm in like an office setting now, so it's obviously a lot different. But when I was doing construction, what I would do is I would put one Zin in the morning, and then like a half hour later, I'd just put in a second one, and then a third, and like every 15 minutes or whatever. Like, so eventually I'd have like 4 in, and then I'd just leave them in.
Oh, you
like,
left them? I thought you meant like you spit it out.
No, I'd leave them in. Yeah, so I'd put
God.
like one. I'd put like one here, upper decker.
Have you ever
and
done...
I'd just be fucking slamming them. And then, like, the whole time, too, you're carrying, like, fucking hundreds of pounds of lumber and, like, running around, like, going up and down scaffolding with a nail gun and shit. But, like, you can just operate. At least I could.
Because it makes you better. Well, not better, but it makes you... Yeah, I was going to say, you're chilling because you're not, like, getting the adverse, like, holy shit effect. It's, like, just normal.
No, like, well, usually, like, the first one of the day was really the only one where I actually was like, oh, wow, nicotine. And then, like, from that point on, it was just chasing the dragon every fucking day.
Weird. That's amazing. Fucking... God damn, I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, the reason I'm dressed like a piece of shit is because we just came from the gym where I smoked this dude named Sebastian. We call him Seabass.
Okay.
In a mile race. Like, I will give him his props, though. It's a white dude, and I thought I was going to destroy him. And I was humbled.
Was it pretty close?
It was very close.
Yeah.
Like, I thought, I literally thought that I was going to destroy him. Like, he was like, whenever we were talking about it at first, he was like, nigga, I have hella endurance. I play baseball. And I was like, that's the worst sport to pick, considering I played soccer and did cross country. Like, I'm going to destroy him.
Well, and his verbiage in that sentence is quite interesting for being a white guy named Sebastian who played baseball.
Dude,
he definitely said it with a hard R. You know, if your name's Sebastian and you played baseball, and you're using that word, yeah, you're not afraid.
That's so funny, because I've always thought, like, he's the first Sebastian I've met since, like, kindergarten. And I've always just thought of Sebastians as, like, spoiled, rich white people that, like, act super preppy.
Right.
But, like, Seabass doesn't act preppy at all.
Okay, so he's kind of he's a grimy... That's why you call him Seabass, though.
No, that's literally just shortened Sebastian.
I know, but, like, Seabass, that's, like, the name you give to the homeless guy who lives behind Red Lobster.
Port City Bass. And we have a YouTube channel.
We have another friend that goes by Tuna.
Oh, like, fuck. You guys do you have a crabs?
No, dude.
You guys can do the whole Deadliest Catch series.
They're the two fish in the house. I've said now that I think they should fight to death to see who gets to keep the seafood name. Because, like, honestly, you can't have two fish in the house. Like,
no, it's weird. Like, you can't have, like, just like in, like, a friend group, like, you know, like, actually, I don't know. I guess for dudes, it's way different. But I've always noticed with, like, girlfriend groups, there's only one of each girl stereotype in the group. Like, there's only one fat friend who's annoying.
No, seriously, think like about all of them in Reno.
Dude, I was gonna say,
you're hanging out at the wrong bars, dude.
There's a lot of fat bitches that I'll see that walk around together, and I'm like, you guys, like,
yeah, but see, that's different though. That's like the group.
That's like hippopotamus.
Exactly.
Hippopotamus is crazy, dude.
It's like a herd mentality, like because none of them. This is my working theory on why most friend groups have like a fat friend who's annoying and is just always there cock blocking every dude who ever tries to talk to the friends. But it's because she's managed to stay friends with a girl since like first grade to now. So the friend is obviously the good looking one. So she feels bad about leaving the fat one behind. So she's too nice. She's like, oh, it's fine. And none of the other girls like her, but they have to deal with it.
Dude.
Because think about it, like, am I wrong? Like, name an annoying fat friend of a girlfriend group that doesn't fit that mold.
Dude, I don't pay nearly enough attention to women. I have like generalizations about them, but that like fits into all of them. So you have to be at least a little bit sexist.
I wouldn't say I'm sexist. I would say no. I would just say that I am.
You're a realist.
No, I'd say I'm an equal opportunity shit talker. Like, I don't care who you are. I'm going to make fun of you based on the attributes that you have.
Oh, that's why you say the N-word in so many of your books. No, I'm kidding. I wish we could have at least one comic that was just...
They just let it fly?
Dude, I just want one to say it once on stage. I would die so hard that it made it worth it, and it wouldn't be awkward.
I bet you could pay Rory $10 to do it.
What? Do you think we're going to do it for 10?
Yeah, if you think about it, dude, do it at a night at like Patty and Irene's where there's 3 people there and they don't know how cell phones work because they're like 70.
They would fucking love it, dude.
Exactly. No, I mean, like, you just got to make sure that it doesn't get videotaped because that would... You know,
but I would want a video of it so bad. I wouldn't show it to anybody, but it would just be like...
It would just be your guilty pleasure?
Yes, dude. Like, have a folder on my white friend saying nigga. Right. Dude, like, sometimes a certain co-host accidentally lets it fly and doesn't want it on the internet, and so I'll edit it out. But, like, what I should have done is, like, slowly edited a bunch of clips and just add them as ammo.
It'd be like the Joe Rogan,
exactly.
The Joe Rogan fucking compilation.
He's gonna hit me with it one day.
Dude.
And it's gonna be, here's what you gotta do. If he ever gets married, you gotta play it at the wedding.
Dude. And like,
if I'm getting married to a chick, she will be like, okay, I mean, yeah.
It makes sense. I know him.
Dude. Oh my God. That video of Joe Rogan saying nigger made me laugh so hard. Like, dude, I found out that is like top 3 funniest words to me. Like whenever some white person like unexpectedly says that,
It's just exhilarating for you.
dude, like in every Quentin Tarantino movie, whenever it happens, it makes me fucking laugh. Like the Quentin Tarantino scene, it's like, does it look like I have a sign that says deadly storage?
Right.
That's like, I literally I had a girl over that's like kind of woke, and I thought that it was so funny, like to explain myself while I was laughing at nigger. I showed her that scene and she laughed during it, and I was like, see, because it has to be funny.
It's super
like,
funny.
You understand that it's hilarious because he's not supposed to say it.
Well, I think that like one of the reasons why that works, like I think there's a couple of reasons, but I think the main reason is that it's done in the context of a movie. You know what I mean? Like, going into it 100,000,000%, this is completely fake. It doesn't exist. Someone made it all up and then filmed it, and now you're watching it. Whereas, like, if you see a dude do it on stage, especially if it's a good comedian, it's going to seem off collar. It's going to seem offhand. Like, the best punchlines are the best acts, in my opinion, are the ones where, like, you can't even really tell where the punchline is. You just start laughing.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just there. So I think in a stand-up sense, people are a lot more like, he's said this hundreds of times. He's rehearsed this many a time. Like, this isn't good.
Dude, it'd be so funny if, like, Louis C.K. Because every time Louis C.K. says it, it's funny, though. Like, fucking...
Yeah, but that's Louis. See, like, that's the thing, too. So I think with Louis, like, one, he's Louis. So obviously he can get away with things that the average
Other
person
people
couldn't. But on top of that, he's been doing stand-up for 35 years. Like, he's been doing it long enough to where I think he's just earned enough respect by fans. And obviously, if you're not like a comedy fan,
you probably won't go see him if that's all you've heard about him is like the shit he did.
Exactly.
It wasn't even that bad though. Like him just being like, "Hey, can I jerk off in front of you?" And then a girl being like, "Yeah," and then them watching it and being like, "That was weird, but okay, nice to see you."
Yeah, Louis. I mean,
it's
that's
weird.
just a weird kink.
Yeah, but it's like all right. I mean, really get mad at him.
The crazy thing about that is, like, obviously, like, okay, so for starters, if the chick was like not down, and I don't know the full story, it's dude, you're being like, not only are you being weird, that's fucked up. It's a bad. It's a straight up
jerk off in front of people.
Yeah,
they were cool with it though.
No, yeah, every single one of them. Like multiple comics have came out. Like Sarah Silverman was like, "Yeah, I watched that." Like Louis asked me, and I like, I laughed about it.
Yeah, no, exactly. So like, if it's in that situation, one, that's not a situation that I think is like a cancelable thing or whatever. But two, if like the same thing happened to a politician in 2023, no one would bat an eye. Like,
what's that fucking... There's like a gay Republican that
lied about everything? Dude, yeah, the dude from like Staten Island, I think.
Apparently he was like... He had lied about being Jewish and someone called him out on it and he was like, no, I said I was Jew-ish.
Right.
It's like, what?
Yeah,
he did the semantics arguments. Like, no, I didn't mean like I'm Jewish. I just meant like, hey, I'm a little Jewy.
I'm like kind of a Jew. Dude, that's such a funny out. Like, to just claim it. Dude,
that's clean.
If he really wanted to get good, he could turn into a white Israelite. Like, I mean, black people are allowed to do it, and I'm for equal rights. So, like, white people should also be able to falsely claim Jewishness.
I mean, like... See, that's the thing, like, with the whole, I don't know, the weird thing to me, at least, with, like, the whole, like, oh, I claim to be this, I claim to be that. It's like, dude, at the end of the day, like, if your skin is dark enough to pass for black, sure, you're black. But, like, the thing, like, you remember, I forget what her name was, but there was this lady who said she had something to do with Black Lives Matter.
Rachel Dolezal.
Yes. She fucking, like, oh, I'm black. Like, no, you're white as fuck.
Dude.
You're white.
Rachel Dolezal's hilarious.
And then she's like, oh, well, I feel black. It's like, bitch, it's not a thing you feel.
No,
like,
I think she said she's transracial.
Yeah, no, so she feels black, so therefore she's black. It's like, that's not how it works. Like, dude, it's not a thing.
Oh my god, you're tempting me into a conversation. I don't know. Dude, fucking the whole transgender thing.
Oh, like, damn,
fucking,
this is it.
Dude.
This is the last time you'll see me, internet.
Dude, it bothers me so much. One, because it's just like, it's a feeling that people have. They're like, I feel like a woman. It's like, okay, well, why don't you describe what you mean by that?
I just feel feminine. Well, then you feel feminine. You don't feel like a woman. You're just a feminine man. It's fine. You can be a feminine dude.
Yeah.
But you're not a woman, though.
Beyond that, like, people don't even understand what's being done to them. Like, estrogen fucking is like one of the not main causes of cancer, but if you take estrogen and you don't need it, you're gonna get cancer. Like,
like the what's it called when it's not like your body naturally producing exogenous hormones, right? That's what it is. Yeah, if you have like high levels of those over time, they can definitely have cancer causing effects.
Just
not like
any
definitively
change from whatever your natural balance would be.
Yeah,
that's why steroids
when
aren't
you get
even
like
good.
thyroid cancer and shit. Like, isn't that like the thyroid's the hormone thing?
I mean, fuck, there's a lot of shit that gets fried.
No, dude, like it's literally
Your
like
kidneys
whenever
are gonna get fucked up even.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, because I know that because a buddy of mine did I think he did like Anavar and maybe Tren. Like he did like a big stack at once.
he did Tren.
Oh yeah, no, this dude's fucking insanely big. But yeah, when he was doing it, he like had to stop drinking because your kidneys have to filter out and work extra. But then like one
fried.
and then like one night he was like, "Oh, I'll be okay. I'm just gonna have like a couple beers," and he did. He had like 2-3 beers, just hanging out.
Like jaundice.
No, he fucking was peeing blood like for the next 3 days. He went to his doctor and was like, "What's going on?" It's like, "Dude, your kidneys are fried. Like, I don't. What have you been doing to yourself?"
Yeah, that's
and he didn't tell him steroids. He was just like, just a lot of drinking.
Anytime you go to the doctor and you start something out with, the doctor knows it's about to be some bullshit. Dude.
That's fucked.
Fucking, but whenever women get breast cancer, they like give you estrogen blocker because estrogen's like one of the things that will.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's like whenever a dude's like saying they want to transition, it's like, dude, dress how you want. I don't really give a fuck. I'm gonna laugh. Like that's not. If you walk around like and you're a jacked nigga and you're like,
call me Patricia,
dude. Whatever, do it. I'm going to laugh. Like you can't make me not laugh at it. But like whenever you're like, all right, well, I want you to cut my dick off, which is like mutilating yourself, and like also introducing estrogen, which is gonna give me cancer, and like a lot of other hormones that are not gonna. If you don't need a hormone, you shouldn't be on it. Like
right?
It's making you unhealthy.
The thing with me for like the whole idea of like like the trans community and stuff is I think like if you're 18 or older, you're an adult, and that's how you want to live your life. Like, hey, God bless. Like, don't expect me to accept your new reality because to me, objectively, you're still a dude in a dress. It's fine. I'll call you she. Like, I'll be respectful. I don't want to be mean. I'm not trying to just be an asshole for no reason.
Yeah.
But, like,
exactly.
Stop forcing people to accept you. Like, that's not how life works, man. Like, life is fucking hard.
There's reasons why people don't accept each other.
Exactly.
On
like,
a day-to-day
life
basis.
Well, and I think, like, a big thing it stems from is just the fact that life is so easy nowadays that people don't have legitimate problems. Like, you don't need to worry about barbarians coming and burning your house down and raping your wife. You don't need to. It's not a thing.
So they just make up problems so they have something to do?
I wouldn't say that because I do think that like there are like I've met trans people before. I've met a lot of them and they're all lovely people. Everyone I've ever met, they're great people and good for them. They're doing what they want to do with their life. But I think that because of how the ease of life, so to speak, within the last 50, 60 years has now led us to the point where our culture's developed to the point where those are things we legitimately are considering and talking about. Not to say the conversation shouldn't happen, but I don't think in a quote unquote natural environment where you genuinely have danger and things you need to worry about, those conversations would ever come up.
Yeah.
Dude, that's why in like Nigeria, they're just getting to the point. Like, well, actually, it was around the 2000s. They were getting around the point where they could like have that guy in the news where he's like, why are you gay? And like he's trying to figure out, like the dude literally doesn't understand what the fuck gay is, and like they're at that point. Like, if Nigeria is going to keep on getting better, and eventually they're going to copy America because that's what everyone does now.
I think that like to a certain extent, it is just like a cultural evolution, I guess you could say, that eventually gets you to the point where we are now, and I think
there's always been gay people, but people back then just had to hide it because like they might get killed.
Well,
but now people can like do it.
That's the weird thing. So for most of human history, up until about like the fall of the Roman Empire and Catholicism becoming as huge as it is, and then also Islam later, gay was totally normal. Like in ancient Greece, gay was a thing, like super thing. Like tons of dudes were fucking each other, and no one it was just like, yep, that's life.
Dude, in Turkey they legalized being gay like sometime before like the year 1000.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, because Turkey, modern day Turkey, was originally like pretty much Greek. It wasn't until
Don't say that to a Turkish person. Though. They beef now.
It was mostly so. Let me rephrase that. So Turkey, modern Turkey, pretty much the entire coast on the Mediterranean, it was all colonized by the Greeks, and then later the Romans.
Like Troy was at and shit.
Yeah, exactly. So it was all that's the thing. So eventually the Arabs came in and conquered vast swath. They conquered the Ottoman Empire, which was an extension of the Arab.
That shit went into fucking Africa too, dude. It's
for sure. It literally
all around the Mediterranean.
It went from like Algeria all the way over to like modern day Iraq, and then looped all the way back up into like centrally, like the Balkans.
Dude, that's so impressive to like be able to control that much land back then. Because like I play this game called Hearts of Iron, where it's like you'd have to grow from like, well, you can choose countries that are fucking big, which is the fun thing. But like trying to be like a small country or like be an uprising that goes and like grows their fucking popularity and like ring of control all the way around like an area that big, and like they're still holding it together where like people are, no one's like rebelling, and like well, people probably try but they get killed, right? Like being able to control that is so, it's impressive.
Oh yeah, well that's one of the things, the size of the empire is one of the things that eventually led the Ottoman Empire to collapse, because they were, I mean, over the course of centuries, pretty much from like the 1600s up until like the 1800s, right in that range, they were, so prior to that time period, they were the number one power in Europe. None of the European armies could defeat them, and it was a big thing. They were worried about, like, the Ottomans could conquer all of Europe.
And then World War I happened.
Well, so yeah, that was like the nail in the coffin for them. So at a certain point, the Europeans started developing their armies to, much, much better, giving them, weapons, cannons, all the modern stuff. Yeah. And the Ottomans, because they were so good already, just kind of rested on their laurels and were like, we don't really need to do anything. And eventually the Europeans got to the point where they could defeat the Ottomans, and the Ottomans slowly started losing more and more ground, until eventually World War I was pretty much the nail in the coffin. But
that sucks they chose the wrong side on that one. That sucks, man. Like, fucking, I would have been on probably Germany's side, like, in World War I.
Oh, well, World War I is, like, the thing about World War I that most people don't realize is, like, it was basically the exact same thing that had been happening in Europe for the last 200 years. It was just the first time it happened with modern weapons.
Dude.
That's the only, like... But otherwise, like Germany's invasion,
a bunch of feudal alliances.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so like Germany's invasion to go into France, and then pretty much the whole war. Like Germany is obviously the aggressor in World War I, but
it set the whole thing off. But like as soon as they did that, everyone else was like, "All right, well, I'm on his side, or I'm on his side."
Yeah, exactly. The old world alliances and it just caused a massive conflict.
Germany wasn't really the aggressor in World War I. They were just holding up their pact with Austria-Hungary.
Exactly, but they were the aggressor in the sense of like they were the most dominant force on their side.
The fucking team.
Exactly. Like
that's why they got fucked.
They were the one they wanted a ton of land in France anyway because of stuff that happened 50 years before that.
Been invading France.
Yeah, exactly. For forever.
Years. Yeah.
Dude.
So yeah, I mean, World War I was like. I mean, people say the Germans were the bad guys or whatever, but no, all sides in World War I were the bad guys. Like even America coming in at the end, it's like, why? We didn't need to do that. It was a European conflict. There was no need for us to do it. We just wanted to flex our dick and be like, ooh.
We should have just stayed out and done what we were doing already, which is just funding both sides.
Like, exactly. You make way more money.
Kill yourselves, retards. We're going to be the main power now because we're a growing country, and it's like, we have a lot more land than you, and now it's like. We're young, but we're going to grow up to be better than you. Right. And then it's like you see them beating those, spending their entire shit on themselves. And you're like, oh, okay, well, we'll jump in and end this. It's like, let them bleed themselves out.
Exactly.
We're going to be better sooner. It was at the end of World War II where that really happened, where I was like, oh, America is the best.
Well, and the thing with World War II versus World War I, so World War I set the groundwork for World War II happening because of the Treaty of Versailles, which basically just completely fucked Germany. Yeah, they were completely fucked. So.
Dude, it was literally America didn't sign on to that because England and France were like, yeah, we're gonna make them do this and this, and America was like,
horrible fucking idea.
It was awful.
If you send this to them, I mean, get ready for World War II because they're gonna come back.
Yeah.
And then the fucking Great Depression happened for everybody, and that was another thing where everyone's like, yeah, well, some people chose to blame certain people for that. And I'm not saying I agree with them, but I would hear their point out, and I would think that we would all come to a similar conclusion.
Well, yeah, I think in situations like that, I mean, what Hitler was able to do with Nazi Germany is it's
pretty
not
impressive.
Well, it's zero to hero speed run.
I was gonna say it's not unheard of for a leader like that to come into he lives in that country, and obviously times are terrible, and be able to be a great speaker to charge people and get them fired up and believe in him. And then also to have a scapegoat, because you look at like every major dictator that ever took power, they always had a scapegoat. There was always a bad guy. There was always an enemy. These are the people who were trying to destroy us. So for Hitler and the Nazis, they chose theirs, and the rest is history. But when you look at what they did, it's no different than what Stalin did in the Soviet Union. It's no different than what Pol Pot did in Laos, or what Kim Jong-un continues to do in North Korea, or what Mao did in China. Like, it's literally the authoritarian playbook. It's what they do.
You can't, because at a certain point, you can't build yourself up and talk about how great you are. You have to start shitting on someone so people can be like, this is who we're blaming.
Exactly,
You can't be like, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix this. They're like, okay, well, who fucked it up? And like, people are mad and they want someone to blame. And the thing that bothers me about that is everyone's like, oh, Germany hated the Jews. That was happening all over Europe. Like, there was people in France that were like, yeah, like, here, take them.
Yeah, Vichy France was like, bet.
Oh, yeah. Well, same thing with I think it was...
Hungarians.
I was going to say Sweden, I think.
They're like, yeah, take them.
One of like the Baltic countries, but up north. But yeah, they were like...
No, literally everyone, dude.
Sweden just sold steel to the Nazis. Allegedly, they went
Allegedly.
Fucking, like, in Hungary, the reason that they got to be, like, a part of Germany's team is because, like, when Germany showed up to collect their Jews, they were like, oh, they're already in like trains for you guys. There's they got 600,000 from I think Budapest, like alone, and like they literally shipped them like to the concentration camps immediately. They're like, take it.
Well, I mean, anti-Semitism was nothing new at that time period. Like, it'd been going on for a long time, but it's one of those things where it's like, I think the reason why anti-Semitism is so prevalent, I mean, even today, is because people don't like the fact that there's a group that has their own thing going on.
They're
like, they don't like it. They're like, fuck you. Why can't I be part of your group? Why can't I join?
The walled garden.
Yeah, exactly. The walled garden. And that's why, and you see that, obviously the Jewish people are a good example, but you see that across many different cultures for many different things. And in my opinion, it's the worst part about human nature, is that for whatever reason, we get really tribal and we decide we're better than them. And that's what it is. And eventually it gets to a point where you have what happened to Germany in the 40s during World War I or II. And it's like, it's horrendous, but it's like one of the things about humans, like, especially if you have a charismatic leader who can rally the people and choose something to blame. That's what's going to happen. And
someone's going to get the hammer.
Yeah, and it's super fucked up. Like, you even see, obviously not to the extent of the Nazis or the communists.
To be fair, though, they were also killing, like, retarded people and criminals. Yeah. I'm fine with the criminals. Like, I mean, if they think about it, if you're trying to make a place that you're like, this is going to be the best place ever, and then people are going to be like, okay, you're controlling a lot of areas. What are you going to do about the criminals? Oh, good news. Thing is, they're already all gone. Right.
Well, see, the thing about that, and this is just like, because I don't like authority, I think, is that I don't trust a government to pass judgment on somebody in the form of like execution.
Oh, absolutely not.
Because it just does. Like, why would you trust that? Why would you say, like, yes, Mr. Government, I trust you? Like, because if the government wants to say you're a criminal, like,
it's very easy to call someone a criminal.
I forget who it was, but it was one of Stalin's like top lieutenants in the USSR when he was in charge, and he's quoted as saying, "Show me the man, and I'll find you the crime." Because you just show me the man.
That was fucking
like it wasn't Trotsky. It definitely wasn't Trotsky. It was the head of the
NKVD.
Yeah. It was the head of. I forget his name.
Short.
He was a total piece of shit too.
Berea.
That was it. Yep. Yeah. Show me the man and I'll find you the crime, because like that was how they operated. And it's like, especially in a system where the government has that much control. And if you're dumb enough to say you trust the government, you think they're just going to like not take advantage of that? Like, look at America. Look at the last fucking 70 years here with all the shit the CIA did, because for whatever reason, people had blinders on and they were like, no, the government's, they're mostly good.
They're good.
They're horrible at everything they do.
Dude, the government
exactly.
horrible at everything they do.
Every time they enter something, they have, sometimes it feels like they have the right idea, like they want to fix something. But like with Obamacare, that fucking failed, like really badly. And it was like, it sounded like a good idea, but like the government just can't do shit like that.
Well, and I think here's the thing, and obviously with the U.S. government it operates differently, but in the Soviet Union, the way that they would pretty much run government programs is that if you were, say you're funded $100,000, and within that $100,000 budget, you're able to achieve your objective. You're able to take care of what you said you were going to take care of for your program. Okay, great. If your budget is $100,000 and you can't take care of it, then they automatically assume it's a money issue, so they double your budget. So if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you get rewarded with more money. And in a lot of cases with a lot of U.S. government-funded programs, it's very similar. Like in L.A., they spend almost $1 billion a year on the homeless problem, and it's only gotten worse in the last 5 years. They went from like 20,000 homeless people in like the early 2010s to like 50, 60,000 now.
That's what Michael Schellenberger talked about that. Like he was from San Francisco, and he talked about how like the homeless issue, like it's a bunch of people that are getting rich and they have a job, and if they deal with the problem that their job is supposed to deal with, then they don't have a job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, well, let's just keep it going.
Yeah, so it disincentivizes actually solving the problem. And you see this across so many, like look at the public school system in America. Every single school.
They add so much money, and the more money they get, the worse they get, like in Chicago.
Exactly. Chicago's a great, I mean, you could make that argument for most government, pretty much anything government, like Chicago's a great example for gun violence. They have the strictest gun laws in the country, or some of the strictest. I don't know if it's like the number one. But they also, and they have the highest murder rate by firearms murder rate. Yeah. Or, you know what I mean? Gun murders.
They're killing each other with fucking guns over there.
Exactly.
And it's like, how are they doing that? There's laws to protect it. It's like, hey, guess what? If a person is willing to commit a crime of shooting someone, they're going to illegally getting a gun is not going to be the point that they stop.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. That's like the thing I find the funniest about like the mass shooter. I guess I shouldn't say I find it funny, but I find it interesting about the mass shooting problem.
That they all got guns from the FBI.
Yeah, that's one thing for sure. But no, it's like, it doesn't make sense to me where they're like, oh, well, you know, the reason this keeps happening is because guns are too easy to get. It's like, hey, motherfucker, guess what? That guy wanted to kill people. Okay, so don't you think like killing people is already against the law? That's against the law. And he broke that law. That was his goal, was to break that law. So don't you think that he'd be willing to break other laws to get a gun if you made laws that made it harder to get a gun? Like, it's like, there's a meme I love. It's a fucking, it's like a gate on a dirt road, but there's no fence on either side of it. And there's just tire tracks on the sides. Because you just go around it. Because that's literally what gun control laws are. Because if you have hate in your heart and you have malice intentions, you're going to carry those out. And if it's not with a gun, like, do you remember the guy, I think it was last Christmas, the guy in Wisconsin, who just drove his car through a fucking parade.
And they're saying like a vehicle killed. Dude, it was weird because
they called it like an accident. They treated it like it was an accident. And it was like, no, it was a dude who was a self-proclaimed black supremacist who has hundreds of tweets and Facebook posts talking about how much he hates white people. And then he drove his car into a parade of white people. And
it's like, dude, if that was the other way around, that would be not just national news. That would be world news.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Not just because it's like fucking a white dude killing black people. It's like, America is huge, and like we're like everyone looks at what's happening with us. Like George Floyd, that happened, and people were losing their mind. Right. If someone drove a car into a crowd, they made it a big deal. But they're like, no. Like this is like the car did it, and like there's a mentally ill guy, and like we should deal with that.
It's like mentally ill. That's what they say.
Well, now we're willing to talk about his mental illness, but like
But if it's a gun, then it's like he's just a crazy, hateful, white supremacist or whatever the fuck. Insert tagline here.
I've always said that's like as weird as like being more interested in like Jeffrey Dahmer's drill than him, because it's like, oh my god, like should we ban drills? Like he drilled a hole in a dude's skull and poured muriatic acid in there.
We gotta ban the acid. The acid's the problem.
Should we get like what, dude? What are we gonna do? You can get like, and we have drills around. We need to get rid of them. And it's like, hey, maybe we should look at the fact that there was a guy that took this tool and fucking
murdered someone with it.
Yeah, the ATF and the NFA are ridiculous.
Oh, the NFA. Yeah, well, the ATF, like, by the definition of the Second Amendment, the ATF shouldn't exist.
I know.
Like, the ATF never should have existed. I can't think of a legitimate reason for it, because, I don't know, like, I'm not like a hardcore gun nut. Like, I don't own 100 guns or whatever. But I do think that if you taught gun safety to people, if every person in America had, oh fuck, I forget who it is, but he's got a great bit about solving the gun problem. And I'm probably going to butcher it, but he basically says, if you gave every single person in America a gun tomorrow, you would solve gun violence, because the people who want to use it, or the people who are gun nuts, they're not going to trust a gun given to them by the government. They're going to think it has a chip in it. And the people who hate guns are going to be too afraid to use them.
Yeah.
I think it's Brandon Straker whose bit that is. I can't remember. I'm sorry to whoever's that is. I just fucking butchered it, if you ever see this.
Dude. No, the ATF, like, I think the only reason they got created is because, like, there were too many, like, owned dogs, and they're like, we need to get rid of some of these.
Yeah.
So, like, they show up and, like, shoot someone's dog and throw their house apart and call them a terrorist, and they're like, well, we didn't find anything, but have fun putting your house together. And the nigga's like, are you gonna fix my door, nigga? You just destroyed it. And he's like, no, why would we do that? Like, talking to you with attitude.
Right. Exactly, like being dicks to you.
It might be the only like federal agency that's like solely dedicated to like infringing on the rights of like law-abiding citizens and punishing them.
Oh, for sure. Well, I'm a lot more libertarian than the average person, so I would argue that like you could say the same about the FBI.
Oh yeah,
because like the FBI,
world's, like biggest crime syndicate behind the CIA.
Yeah, exactly. Like the amount of shit that they do, and so the FBI is like the biggest national crime syndicate. The CIA is the biggest international. Yeah, but that's literally what they do. Like, and at some point, like when the FBI was first started, the FBI was started in like the 30s during the Great Depression. They had two primary objectives. It was so that they could keep track on the mob, take down the mob. But eventually the IRS was the ones who actually got Capone, which is fucking hilarious that the IRS got him. But and bank robbers, because bank robbers in the 30s during the Depression,
that's probably a real big issue.
Oh, it was a huge issue. And they would, so basically in like, did you ever see the movie, I think it's Public Enemy with Johnny Depp? It's about John Dillinger. So John Dillinger was a fucking G. So this dude was like one of the top bank robbers of the Depression. And what him and his crew would do is they would buy souped up cars, like souped up V8s, or like badass cars, the best ones you could get at the time. And they would go to banks in smallish towns, like a big enough bank to where they knew that the score was worth it, but it was in a place where it was like, yeah, it's a small town in like Indiana or whatever. So they knew that the police there, their fastest car could maybe go 70. And they were hauling around doing like 90 or 100. So they'd go in, rob the banks, and then they would know that the cops would chase them, and they would literally just beat them off the line.
Throw up the peace sign,
pretty much. And then they would get over the county line or the state line where the jurisdiction for those officers
the cops can't even follow them?
No. So if you just crossed a county line, then a state police officer could keep chasing you. But if you crossed a state line, that was it. There was no federal police force. So they couldn't like track the bank robbers across the country, you know what I mean? It was just basically, exactly, yeah. It was like, well, they got away, fuck. But that's one of the reasons the FBI got started. And before the FBI, for like robberies and shit, like during the Wild West, there were detective agencies, like the Pinkerton agencies, like the most famous one. But they were basically contracted, like almost like bounty hunters, sort of, and they were deputized to, chase down outlaws, investigate crimes, stuff like that. You had the marshal services too, like the U.S. Marshals. Now they're basically just do prisoner exchange type stuff. But back in the day, they were big deals too. But yeah, the FBI started for the mob and for bank robbers.
And then they evolved to be like anti-Martin Luther King.
Exactly. Yeah, they killed Martin Luther King Jr. Like,
I was going to say, I forgot that guy's name that did it, but like apparently he was a serial killer before, and like he was just like a loser.
No, he was like a shitty criminal. Like he was a shitty petty criminal.
But people were like, oh yeah, this guy is like a loser. And
yeah,
then,
he didn't do it himself.
Out of nowhere, he showed up with like a lot of money and a super nice car, and people were like, where'd you get that? And he's like, the FBI gave it to me when they paid for me to kill MLK. And they're like, shut up.
Yeah, dude, we don't believe you.
I was seeing some shit. Apparently, like, the FBI has recruited, like, over 60,000, like, new cadets, like, really recently.
Really? I believe it. Well, the IRS has the 70,000 new agents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they definitely got those to go after the big guy.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that's the funniest thing ever to me when people are like, oh, the IRS, they're on our side. They're making sure that they pay their fair share. It's like, fuck you, dude. Here's how the IRS works, all right? If you're a regular person, the IRS, after tax season, sends you a letter saying, hey, you owe us $82. what are you going to do? Like, you're just going to fucking pay it because it's going to cost you $200 for a lawyer to send them a letter saying, no, I don't. And that's after you pour through your record. You know what I mean? Like, no one has any idea. They're just going to pay it. So if you do that to 70,000 families, 70,000 people, what's $82 times 70,000? Millions of dollars. I'm not good at math, but it's a fuckload. And they, boom, there you go. They just increased, like, and then that's if every agent did that to one person. What if every agent does it to 20 people?
They probably do it to, like, they're probably literally like cold callers.
Oh, for, yeah, right.
I heard that they were going to arm those agents and use them as like a federal police force. That could have been a schizo.
That'd be funny.
Conspiracy. That's so funny because
that'd be hilarious.
Now, whenever you see any like news corporation talking about anything like that, you just based on who it is that's showing it, I'm like, I already have an opinion about what they're going to say because I know their opinion. Like their opinion. Sure. So it's like, what do I what do I go to? Because like then there's also like people on the internet that are pretty convincing, but then they're like also just absolute crazy people on the internet that are like spewing out shit they have no clue about.
Well, then you have a mix of both because like I would say that Alex Jones is like the mix of the both of them because like he's clearly crazy, he's clearly off his rocker, but he's been right about a lot of shit. Like, he was talking about Epstein in, like, 2002.
Dude, oh, my God. That's insane to me.
And in the 90s, he was saying this shit.
He was talking about Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, he went to Bohemian Grove. He proved it was real. Him and the guy from NPR.
Fucking Ron Johnson. Or John Ronson.
John Ronson, yeah. They broke into fucking Bohemian Grove. Dude, which is insane.
Johnson and Ron, that would be crazy fucking duo.
It would be. Fucking, he talked about it, and people were like, shut up, Alex. Like, you are literally a crazy person. I'm not believing you at all. And then, like, what do you do whenever he comes back with a video of it? It's like...
You guys say, like, well, fuck, I guess I was wrong.
Fuck you, Alex. And like with it's making the frogs gay.
Yeah, we're turning the frogs gay.
And then it's like, oh, yeah, actually, it turns out that it was actually changing the frogs' gender.
The sexual gender of the frogs was changing. It was making them hermaphroditical, I think.
Something like that. And it was like, oh, okay. But, I mean, that's just something crazy. And it's like, okay, well... He's been right about it, like more than a few conspiracy theories that sounded crazy. So I'm more willing to accept this other crazy shit.
Yeah, exactly. When I think with him, like the thing he obviously fucked up with was Sandy Hook. Like that was a bad call. That was a really bad call on his part.
They're running his bag for that.
Yeah, but like
crazy.
I don't know. Like at the same time, like all right, we all know Epstein was real. We all know Epstein really happened. But when he was talking about that initially, like think about pre-Epstein, like think about like 2014, someone walked up to you and said, hey man, so all the elites of the world, they all fly to a private island in the Bahamas and fuck kids. You'd be like, no way, that's not true. Oh wait, it was, like you would never believe it.
Even if you just said they fly to an island where people do fuck kids, even if you weren't saying they fuck them specifically, you'd still be like, but it's like, whoa, dude, a lot of people went there.
Exactly. So like finding out that was real, like, I can see how the guy who uncovered that and, like, first started pulling on the string of Epstein and found out what he did, I can see how he would allow himself to believe his own bullshit about Sandy Hook. Like, I can see how he got there. He's wrong. He was very wrong. And...
It's just wild that they ran him in a civil case.
Well, I think they did that. Money. Oh, yeah, well, I think they did that to send a message. Because, like, realistically, what did they settle him? Like, over $100 billion or some insane number where it's like he's never or like a billion. I think it was like $1 billion. It wasn't $100 billion. That's insane.
It was like $900 million was the Texas case, but there's a cap in Texas to where he only had to pay a certain amount. But then there was
the Connecticut case. But then the
Connecticut case, there was no cap, and they got an insane amount, like a $1.5 billion or something.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I think the reason they did that was. I think they did it to send a message more than anything.
Not even to him, it's to everyone else.
To everybody, yeah. Like, hey,
if you say something that's so much to our not liking, we're going to fuck you over for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, like, he's built sort of a thing where, like, he could just... I think what he did is he transferred all his money to his wife.
Oh, for sure he did. For sure he did, yeah.
So he has no money, no assets, no nothing. So, like, they can hit him with that all they want. But, like, if you can't do that in time, they could, like, ruin your life.
Oh, for sure.
And, like, he has enough people that he's built up the trust of that they'll, like, follow him wherever he goes. But, like, most people, if they, like, tried to, like, go from getting banned on YouTube to, like, Rumble or something, they're not going to really be able to do as much. Like, Steve Will Do It did it, and Andrew Tate did it. Because Andrew Tate transcended, like... He transcended YouTube, because he wasn't just that.
Andrew Tate, he... I saw this thing the other day, I think it was, I don't know if it was a news headline or a tweet or something. I've been trying to write a bit about it, but apparently After Andrew Tate got arrested in Romania, one of the top leaders of the Taliban tweeted his support for Andrew Tate, saying that basically saying like, hey, we need more men like Andrew Tate out there. You know, the feminism is committing a war on men in the West. Like all this shit where it's like, oh, dude,
that makes me
that's
support
not the
him
guy
more.
you want to be your ally.
I don't know. Nowadays, that might be he might be a little bit progressive on that because he's so willing to accept a person that's a Middle Eastern that like it's kind of all right.
What, Andrew Tate?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the Taliban guy.
No, like it's cool to be the Taliban guy too. Like I would fucking like if he wanted to smoke a blunt with me, I'm not saying no. That'd be such an experience, dude. Like if I can meet any fucking dictator of all time and like chill out with them. Maybe Kim Jong-un, because like he would have a vested interest in like making everything amazing for me. So then like he can, like everyone else is like fucking sucks. I don't know. But like it would be so sick for me, dude.
Yeah. I don't know. Dictators would be. I think I would want to meet Mussolini, but only so that I could hear from him, like, hey, man, what's Hitler really like? Because, like, I wouldn't want to meet Hitler.
Mussolini was like a delusional tard, though.
No, he totally was. But, like, he 100% was. But he was, like, he was
scared of Hitler.
Oh, he was terrified. And he was, like, self-aware enough to realize that, like, okay, World War II, we're not winning. Like, he tried to get out of being allies with Hitler a bunch before, like, Hitler basically was like, listen, motherfucker. Like, I forget where and when, but they had a conference. And Hitler was a meth head. Like, he was always doing speed.
Yeah.
So Mussolini went to this conference and he was going to tell Hitler pretty much like, hey, look, we're out. We can't do this anymore. And Hitler was all methed up and just talked for like 3 hours straight. And Mussolini didn't get a single word in. And then he just fucking left like, fuck, I guess we're still fighting.
Dude, what a pussy.
That's why I'd want to meet him. I'd want to be like, what's it like, man? Like, tell me what he's like. Like, how does it feel when he big dicks you? You know what I mean? Like,
he'd be like,
yeah,
well,
exactly.
Are you going to say anything to him?
Exactly.
Be honest. Dude, it's not going to be funny. Like, you think it's going to be funny, but just don't say anything.
Right. No, I'd want to meet him just because he'd be like the exasperated, like, you know, when you see a mom who's got like a 6-year-old who's just going and saying and throwing a tantrum in public, and you just see the look on the mom's face like, oh my God.
I have nothing more to try.
Exactly. Like, I want to know how like, that's Mussolini. Like, and Hitler's the kid. So I want to know, like, hey, man, what's it like? Like, tell me.
Dude, like, I think one that would be really not fun would be like Julius Caesar.
Oh, Julius Caesar would be dope as hell.
But like,
I'd want to meet him just because I'm a huge fan of ancient Rome, even though they were really terrible.
It would be sick to like be in ancient Rome, but like a lot of his time would be spent like he's like, oh yeah, we're marching up into like what we now know as Germany to like conquer these niggas that are just like very disrespecting.
You gotta pick one of the at least charismatic ones to hang out with, not one of the like autistic dictators.
Right, and then
like Stalin. Apparently Stalin was like insufferable to be.
Oh, I believe it. Of course. He
was just like severely autistic.
There's a lot of videos of like Stalin going to like dap people up and like them just like leaving him hanging and him just being like,
oh, like all sad, like a kid who didn't get a high five at a game, like.
Apparently at the post-war conferences, I forget where they had those, but fucking when like Stalin met up with Winston Churchill and what's his nuts?
From where?
FDR? Or no, FDR was dead by then. It was Truman.
Yeah, he met up with those guys at whatever.
What about the French nigga?
That fucking conference was
Dude, there was
no
French. Yeah, France got conquered by Germany like at the beginning.
Like, you have no chips.
No, the French were like, get fucked. But it was just like America, Russia, or USSR, and
that makes sense.
Britain.
It's the winners that get to talk. I would have been like, France. You damn near might be the US of A, Europe edition.
I mean, like, that's a crazy thing when you think about, like, because obviously America like stayed in Europe after World War II and like.
We helped rebuild.
Rebuilt and stuff. But, like, what if we, like, annexed parts of Europe? Like, what if there was, like, America in France? Like, a legit, like, 51st state? Or I guess at this point, we were only 49 states, because I don't think Hawaii was a state yet. But, yeah, like, what if we just... That's it. Like, yeah, there's a part of America in France. There's a part of America in Germany. Japan, we're taking that shit, too. Like, imagine if World War II ended the same way all the other wars end.
Dude, because...
Yeah, where it's just conquered land. Like, no, you're our subjects now. Like, sucks to suck.
Right now, what we actually did is we rebuilt, like, forts and bases for them to be like, here, we're helping you up.
Yeah.
But, like, we wouldn't have to be like helping them up. We could have it like as us, so we could like super base it and give it like the best shit and be like, oh yeah, you guys remember how it feels now? Because that's like America at that point was like everyone from Europe that was like, I'm sick of this shit,
right?
And like fucking some people got a free cruise there, but fucking most people are like, fuck Europe, we don't fuck with them. Like we could have been like, how does it feel now, motherfuckers? We might damn near take you over,
right? No, like, for sure. Well, I think it's weird, like. Yeah, like World War II, at the end of World War II, obviously, like, there were certain territories that got, like Germany, like, lost a bunch of land, and a bunch of other countries got, like, land border changes or whatever. But it was, like, one of the first wars where it wasn't really a war of conquest. Like, that's one of the fucking insane things about...
the Soviet Union.
Yeah, well, the Soviet Union was silent about their shit.
They definitely... I guess that's a good point. But since then, since World War II... And, like, I guess there were... well, no, that's not
Japan,
true.
Yeah, I was going to say Japan was trying to fucking...
Oh, no, Japan... Yeah,
they had an idea of what they were trying to do.
Dude, they built, like... The Japanese Empire was a legit empire.
It was huge. I think it was like
the biggest. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was... Yeah, because it was literally from, like, Japan, and then, like, Manchuria, bunch of China, all the way down into Southeast Asia, all the fucking Pacific Islands.
1943.
Yeah.
It's crazy that, like...
Just...
Before we get away from it too much, my point about the Yalta Conference.
Yeah, Malta Conference, that was it.
Yalta? I don't know where that is, but it was called the Yalta Conference. Okay. That was like one of the first times anyone ever used like a wireless earpiece.
Oh, really?
They gave Stalin an earpiece so they could like feed him actual lines so he didn't just say like psychotic, retarded shit, I guess.
How the fuck did he get to power, dude? I would feel like...
He got a lot crazier as it went.
He killed so many people. That's how he came to power, dude.
But like, someone would have had to have given him the power to kill people to get there.
Yeah,
so
Lenin.
it's like, if he was so...
Yeah, Lenin peaked off Stalin.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Lenin was like a guy that like hated Stalin and like...
At the end he did. But
I was going to say, he like left a note that was like, oh yeah, and by the way... leave anyone other than Stalin in charge. Yeah. And they're like, wait, what?
Wait, what?
Who's the guy in charge of staffing, by the way? Joseph Stalin.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he was the head secretary who, like, for, like, the Communist Party, they called it secretaries, but he's basically, like, the leader or whatever, who assigned the other secretary duties to everybody else. But, so Stalin, when he was younger, he was actually, like, very sharp. Like, as he got older, he degenerated a lot more. But when he was younger, he was able to basically ingratiate himself with Lenin and basically just do whatever Lenin told him to do. And eventually Lenin like trusted him and got to know him or whatever. But at some point, Lenin saw his true colors. And that's when he was like, yo, fuck Stalin. Do not let him be in charge of anything. And then Lenin had a stroke. And then Stalin pretty much was like, I am in charge now. Like he was
because he was the guy that was...
Yeah, the staffing dude. So he was... he basically was like, he said he was the voice of Lenin or whatever, but no, he wasn't. He just took over.
Because wasn't that when Lenin was in Finland? Because he had been like soft banished to Finland.
That was pre-World War I. That was it was Germany. Because the Germans purposefully released Lenin and sent him back to Russia to destabilize it to get him out of the war.
For sure.
There was like two times.
Okay.
There was like two times that they considered sending Lenin like back to him, and like they're like, all right, now is the time after like one of the Russian revolutions, and he just showed up, and then he was like, oh yeah, I'm in charge now.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, when you think about it, you got to give the Germans credit because that's a beautiful geopolitical move. Like that's literally like
that's a cancer cell.
Yeah, no,
because it's a bad cell that's going there, and you know it's going to fuck it up.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And it's going to grow, and it's going to take over. It's like it's going to take over your biggest rival, and like Germany might be looking at them like that's going to be us someday. So like let's go ahead and let them kill each other.
Exactly,
because that's how the Russians do it. Is they're like, all right, well let's kill half of us, like fucking just murk each other.
Oh yeah, well that's. The interesting thing about Russia is like, I don't know. So Russia, like pre-Russian Revolution, like at the end of World War I, they'd been like for 300 years, they had like, it was an empire and they conquered a ton of shit. Like the Soviet Union, all the states that went into the Soviet Union were really just part of the Russian Empire. And they were countries that Russia had conquered over centuries. And then obviously got changed in the Soviet Union, and those countries didn't become their own countries until the Soviet Union fell again. So like Ukraine is a perfect example, and obviously it's fucked up all the shit happening in Ukraine right now.
Fuck them.
Because Kiev is the original center of the Russian people.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah,
it's
so
like
Kiev,
where ethnic Russians originate
exactly.
from.
Yeah, so it was. Yeah, dude, I'm
they
a huge
weren't as
fucking
far
history
west,
nerd.
like over to like Yugoslavia and shit, but they were like past Ukraine.
Yeah, no, so.
Into a bit of Poland too, because it was like Ukrainian Poland.
Yep, yeah,
like ethnic Russians in the east and south of Poland.
Yeah, it's what southeast. Yeah, southeast Poland is like part of Ukrainian Poland. But yeah, so Ukraine, like the city of Kyiv. It's actually crazy how like the Russian people came to be or whatever. But basically, there were Vikings from Sweden and like that region of the world, and so. Basically, when the Vikings started like conquering shit, there was the Danes and the Norse who went west, and they conquered England, northern France, all of that shit. And then the Swedes went east, and they went down the Volga River, I'm pretty sure, which is like the main river in Russia, and it goes all the way down to the Black Sea. And they pretty much just took that road all the way down, conquered a bunch of shit, and eventually conquered the ancient city of Kyiv, or modern-day Kyiv, and set up shop, and then basically created like a Viking kingdom, and it was a combination of Swedish Vikings and the natural Slavic people that lived there, and they became one people. And the reason why we get the name Russia is because it's from the word Rus, which is it's either Slavic or like a Viking language for the men who row, or those who row.
That's
because they were Vikings.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's how like, it was a combination of like the Slavs and the Vikings, and that's how we get it now. But yeah, so Ukraine was like the center of Russia all the way up until like the Mongols showed up and like conquered all that shit. But they eventually devolved into city states, and Kiev was like used to be the old capital, and then you had a bunch of city states. The only city state that didn't get conquered by the Mongols was I think Novgorod, which is like modern day St. Petersburg, I think. No, it's not St. Petersburg. It's another city up there.
I think
like
Novgorod
kind of,
still has the same name, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, it does? Okay, yeah, so perfect. Yeah, it was Novgorod, and they were the only one who really survived. And then after the Mongols left, Novgorod was the only one strong enough to conquer everything else. So Novgorod replaced Kyiv as like the capital for Russian people,
so
and eventually
moved northeast.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah. And Moscow was like. I don't know when Moscow
northeast.
Yeah, well, Moscow like came way later.
Yeah,
so Moscow didn't
like
exist
way
until
late.
Yeah, like 1800s, 1700s. Whereas Kiev is from like fucking 950 AD, like way the fuck back.
Because there was like the Scythian Empire that lived there before.
Yeah, they were the horse people, right? Yeah. And the Tartars, the Tartars. No, not the Tartars. What are they called? Fuck. Shit, this is gonna bug the fuck out of me. They wear fucking. Like fur, like
the Huns?
No, not the Huns. Fuck, this is really gonna
Cossacks.
Piss me. Cossacks, yeah, like the Cossacks.
They were also horse people, weren't they?
Yep. So they were one of the the Ukrainian like landmass, like the modern country of Ukraine, is known as the Ukrainian steppe because it's basically just like a big open field. That's why there's so much farming there today. But yeah, it was like horse people for the longest time.
Like the ethnic natives of Kiev before those.
Yeah, before
they came
the Vikings
down from Sweden
everything.
were like the Cossacks later.
Well, and then you also had the Scythians, and the Scythians go back to like Rome.
Yeah, because
like, the Sarmatians and the Scythians, they all go back to like Roman times and shit. It's crazy.
They
like
came
when you
from
look
like
at
south of the Caucasus, didn't they?
Yeah, up through like
all the way
Georgia and Azerbaijan. Yep, up through there and then over.
Dude, it's crazy how good people get on horses. Like, I imagine them just like shooting.
Fucking advantage.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Like, I imagine them being good at like shooting a bow, like off of a horse. But like the fucking Comanches, they would like literally slink off of a horse and shoot like 3 arrows really quick.
Oh yeah, just
under the horse's neck.
Yeah,
and it was like, holy fuck! And like apparently they would only carry like. They would carry a certain amount and like they would just shoot them rapid fire because they're that good.
Oh no, it's insane. So like stories, I've heard stories of like old stories like Wild West and like before stories of like Comanches and Apaches and shit doing that like speed archery. But by that point in history, humans like European, pretty much white people, hadn't been using bows and arrows in a combat, warfare sense for so long that had become a lost art. Because if you look back to like the Middle Ages and like medieval times,
whenever they got fucking gunpowder and shit,
before that, archers could fire off like I mean, obviously you'd have like longbowmen who would just shoot really far.
Longbowmen were all like the original strong men.
Yeah. They were so fucking strong yanking those bows back. But then you had them, but then you also had dudes who had like smaller bows, and they would have like an arrow in between each finger, and then the one that they're pulled back. So they'd have an arrow here, and then the one they're firing. So they'd literally fire the arrow and then like flip it up with their finger and fire another one and then flip it up, and they could fire like 3 or 4 in a row. And the Comanches and the Apaches, that was their thing also. But it'd been so long, and obviously there weren't like pictures and videos and shit back then. Mm-hmm. So no one remembered like, oh yeah, we used to know how to do that too. So when they'd see people do that, like the Comanches and Apaches, it blew their minds. And it stopped westward expansion until like revolvers were invented, because if you have one shot, you can like one shot, and if you hit him, great, there's 2 others. Yeah, but if you miss him, you've got 3 arrows in you before you even fucking know what's going on.
I forgot what those were called, but like the 6-shooters, they literally gave those. They gave those to the fucking the Texas Rangers, because no one used those. They're like, this is impractical, but they're like, no, we have a good idea on how to use these, and they would just like go out and they would like fucking wet camp where they're not making fires, because if you start a fire, they're gonna see you, and it's like you're like in a we got like the eastern part of our country first, and then we kind of got like we went all the way across to California.
Fuck all the middle,
because it was the Comanches. They were there fucking us up,
and they were there. The Comanches, the Apaches, they were fucking. I mean, like.
They were scary, because they were if they got you, dude, it was not going to be good. You're going to get scalped, and like they were fucking spiking babies. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like we saw them do that, and we were surprised at first, and they're like, all right, let's get them back. And then we were doing the same shit to them, and it was just like a competition to see who could be worse.
I would say what we did was worse, because like we just killed all of the buffalo. Like, we genocided a species because
that was their main food source.
Yeah, because that's what they ate. So we basically were just like, fuck you. Dude, we're killing every buffalo.
It'll be fine. We'll feed you. We'll feed you. And they'd go on a train. Dude, there's pictures of guys like on mountains of buffalo. Like, they would literally go on a train and just shoot them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. They'd have fucking Gatling guns just mowing down fucking herds.
Apparently,
like Texas hog hunters.
Yeah, oh, dude, I'd love to go Texas hog hunting, bro. Up in a fucking helicopter with an AR.
What's that guy's name? He does that fucking... he did that shit in Texas. He was on a helicopter shooting pigs with like a minigun.
What? A minigun?
Yes.
Oh, shit, dude. You wouldn't... Oh, there wouldn't be anything left. Like, dude, I don't think like most people don't realize, like, when you like pull one trigger, like a 1 second pull on a minigun, that's like that's like 400, 500 rounds.
4 giant bullets. How big are they, Jake?
No, 400 or 500 rounds.
Oh my god!
They spin so fast. Like you pull one trigger to make it start spinning, and then you pull the second trigger to make it fire. And if you do like a 1 second pull, it's like 300-400 rounds.
A 1 second pull's like 100, because my dad, he's like the most qualified man alive on the A10 weapon system, and that the Vulcan 30 mil is just a scaled up M134.
Oh, really? So it's not okay? Because I know the A10. It's the most beautiful airplane in my opinion ever invented. But dude, I had no idea. Like, so it's just a scaled. It's just a 30 mil like scaled up minigun.
Pretty much. Like,
oh wow.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they're made by the same company, but it's like you can dump the whole ammo reserve in 12 seconds though, because it only carries like 1,200 rounds.
See, like I wouldn't want a weapon with that fast of a rate of fire.
Yeah, I know.
Like that's like, imagine being in a dogfight and like you fuck up and you miss a little bit and it's like, well, I'm out of ammo.
Like, dude, if you have anybody else that's around you that's on your team, you might fucking shoot them down.
Yeah.
Like if you just a little bit turn it, like fucking. Oh, no, shit.
That's like World War II and World War I, like, because now it's just like all missiles and shit. I mean, like, obviously they still have machine guns,
but it's mostly each other over the horizon now.
I think we're like the only country that still put like ballistic weapons on our airplanes.
Yeah,
like,
well,
even our new
for dogfighting or for dogfighting, it's impractical.
They don't use them for dogfighting. They're just like an emergency,
just for fun.
The A-10 is the only one that they actually use because it's like a CAS airplane, but.
A-10s are so badass, dude. A-10 Warthogs. Oh, my God.
Dude, I love how much we've built up our military to where now we're just, like, bragging. And it's like, I want us to keep doing that. Like, I want us to have the best fucking plane. I want us to have the best fucking tanks. Tanks are kind of like, I don't know if they're dead now, because, like, Russia.
The thing
that
with
the
tanks,
Russia-Ukraine conflict has kind of shown that tanks are obsolete as fuck.
For sure.
Some fucking 21-year-old Ukrainian with a javelin in 15 minutes looking at the instruction manual just turned your fucking T-92 into a pile of flaming garbage.
That's the thing. Like a T-92, like I don't know. I mean, like I'm sure because obviously, like we made the javelin missiles, so I'm sure that our tanks have been tested by being shot with javelin missiles, and there's, you know what I mean? Like, I think realistically, like a country like America has a much better chance of having a actually operable tank system.
Yeah, because all of our shit, like our tanks are effective in like the technology and like computer systems we put on them. Because they've got like the trophy systems on them. Like the fucking Russian tanks are barely retrofitted to like even have like actual radios in them. Damn
for sure.
Now. Like our tanks shoot down the fucking javelins before they even hit them.
Have you seen how like stable the thing is on the tank? Like the end of the
barrel?
gun? Yeah, they'll put like
go like that, and the barrel's just
they'll have like a beer on top of it, and like literally be going over like hills and like running over cars and shit, and the thing is just staying perfectly.
That was a test that got invented by the Germans.
Really?
Yeah,
that's dope.
They put a platform on the barrel of, I think it was like their like Leopard 3 tank or whatever.
They just sent a bunch of those to Ukraine.
Really?
Yeah.
But they put a big like beer stein of beer on it and fucking were driving it, and that shit was not spilling at all. Dude parked the tank and fucking chugged it.
The Germans were so far ahead, like in almost everything. Like if they would have stayed
in World War II,
dude, like at that time period, they were fucking it. Like they're fucking.
They were the first jet fighters.
Other than
what's up?
The ME-109s.
Yeah, the first jet fighters and shit. No, it's insane. Like it's crazy. Like I don't know if Germany did not attack Russia in World War II or Soviet Union, the world would be completely different.
And even if they attacked them and just waited until the spring and not attack them during the winter, or well, actually, I think they had a chance to like attack them and then stop and then keep it going.
No, they never should have though, because Russia. The thing with Russia is like, and this is how it's always been for European conflicts. Obviously, nowadays it's a little different looking at the Ukraine situation, but Russia's and. To be fair, the war in Ukraine's only been going for a year, so we could still be pretty surprised, and I think we probably will, because if you look at Russia historically, every single time they've been in a war since World War I, they get the absolute shit kicked out of them for a year.
And then still win off manpower.
And then they just send millions of dudes. Just millions of dudes. Fuck it, just throw them.
Underrated aspect of Russians, because like generally people regard all their engineering as like pieces of shit, like the Mosin and stuff. But they were like ingenious when it came to like designing these weapons and like less than a month, and then having a full assembly line producing them a month later.
Exactly. Yeah, well, because not just the manpower of people in the war, but the manpower of manufacturing.
And shout out France for that, because they had like no actual industry before the 1890s. And
in Russia?
France invested like 80% of the money that went into making the like Trans-Siberian Railway.
I believe
like all of their industry that was east of the Urals, which is what ended up being what saved them in World War II. Especially.
Oh yeah, because it was all okay. It was all still rocking.
Was that like an investment where France would make money off of like the Trans-Siberian Railroad, or was that just them like out of the kindness of their hearts like helping them out?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that they were probably going to be paid something, but I'm sure that after fucking World War I and the Tsar got executed, the communists were probably like, eat a bag of dicks. We're keeping all of the shit you gave us, and we're not giving you anything. And you have like 5 countries between us and you guys just got royally fucked up in World War I, so we know you can't go to war with us, so fuck you. I think that's probably what happened.
Dude, France, I have the least respect out of any country in the world for France.
The thing about, because like, okay, so by modern standards, I agree, but the thing about France is like pre-World War II, France was the land war superpower of the entire world.
Really?
Not when they're tripping, doing bullshit, having 3 different revolutions.
The Prussians were like scarier.
But think about it. Once the revolutions were done, once everything calmed down, the 1800s, no matter who was in charge.
Napoleon was in charge.
Napoleon was fucking, like even during the revolution, Napoleon was still busting fucking everyone's ass. Like Italy, he was fighting down south in Italy. He was the diversionary person. They're like, all right, Napoleon, fuck off and go down there.
The Russians, Italy, fucking the Prussians at that time, they were the Prussians and the British and the Spanish and just fucking everybody.
They folded Austro-Hungary because they went through northern Italy to Austro-Hungary and capitulated them on the backside of Germany, and then Germany was like, "All right, fuck it, dude. Like, we'll call it that war at least." But there was still only 50 years between 1812 or whenever Napoleon took power and when they had their other like retard revolution when Paris like turned itself into a commune for 3 months.
Yeah, but that's basically just like the same shit that happened in Seattle in 2020. Like it wasn't a real revolution. It was a bunch of fucking hippies who didn't want to bathe.
Dude, that
shit was our actual capital.
Yeah, exactly.
That shit was bad.
Dude, imagine if Washington DC is
it's already a shit show.
It is horrible there. So like,
all the big cities these days, New York, LA, fucking Chicago, St. Louis, Boston.
Dude, they're the scariest places to go now. Like, I don't want to go there. Like, Atlanta's all right. Atlanta's okay. Like, it's still scarier than, like, fucking, like, San Diego.
It's not just, like, full of heroin addicts, so.
Yeah. Dude, like, fucking
they at least everywhere in like,
Pennsylvania. Dude, fucking Kensington Avenue and fucking Philadelphia is just, like, a street of zombies.
Or, like, the Love Park.
Where's that one at?
It's in Philadelphia.
Oh my god! Is it just more people that are?
Yeah, it's just people shooting up. It's just people shooting up.
Did I show you that picture? That's like that black dude standing next to.
Yeah,
dude, that shit. That's my new favorite picture. I show that to everyone. That shit is so funny.
That shit was funny.
Even going to Seattle in like 2017, 2018, maybe. We were like going to Pike's Place Market or whatever, and we were maybe a block away and had parked. We're just walking, and there's some dude sitting on the sidewalk against the wall.
Just zonked.
Fucking, shot up and passed the fuck out there. It's like, Jesus. Holy fuck, dude.
Yeah, no, I don't know, because I remember, like, so I went to the Bay Area last year. I went to Oakland for the A's-Giants game, and the last time I'd been to the Bay Area before that had been, I don't know, like 2013, 2014. So it'd been about like 9 years, but I figured like, oh, it's probably not that bad. Because I remember when I went last time, you know, there's a little bit of trash here and there. There's some homeless people, but it's like, it's a city, you know? It's like, yeah, you kind of expect
it.
Yeah, you expect a certain, like, it's more than Reno, but it's less than bad.
Yeah.
And then when I went most recently to Oakland, holy shit, it was a different fucking planet. Because, like, we were staying in Oakland, so obviously we were staying in Oakland, like, right in the fucking heart of the ghetto. We were, like, maybe 2 miles from the stadium. So it was not, like, a good set to begin with. But it was right after COVID, so a bunch of businesses were shut down, boarded up. There was graffiti everywhere. Fucking homeless people all over the place.
Gotham City.
Oh, yeah, no, it literally, like, I fucking felt like Batman should be there to save me. Because it was insane. And then... Oh, so this is the best part of the whole fucking trip. So one night, me and a buddy, we went to, so we were there for the game, but we were there for like a couple days. You know, I think we were there for like 2-3 days. Yeah. So after the game, or no, we were only there for, I think, Friday night, Saturday night. The game was on Saturday. So Saturday night, we didn't have anything planned. So my buddy was like, hey man, there's this rave in San Francisco. Do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, what's the deal with it? Oh, yeah, so this is tickets. Do you have a vax card? I was like, no, I'm not vaccinated. You know this. Like, I'm not doing it. And he was like, okay, well, no one else wants to go, and I don't want to go alone, so, like, you need to come with me. And I was like, bro, I can't. I don't have a vax card. So he was like, stay right there. He came back 5 minutes later, and this motherfucker photoshopped me a vax card on his cell phone. He had, like, the most insanely good Photoshop skills. It was fucking insane. But, yeah, so I was like, fuck it, let's go. So we go to the show. It was pretty fun. The vax card thing worked. And then on the way...
sorry to interrupt you. You might have to edit that out. Isn't that a federal crime?
I mean, I didn't say his name.
Oh, yeah, true.
Now that I'm thinking about it, you are the one that did it. Hey, I'm fully fine with leaving that in, but I mean, I won't be the one getting targeted.
Well, you know.
Hey, this is all for entertainment.
Yeah. This is all for entertainment. Real. There was no actual vaccine that was photoshopped because I had a real one.
Dude. Ugh.
Wink. But anyway, so we go to the fucking show. We took the BART system to get there. So for starters, that's when I really realized how shitty the city was. Because, like, all the BART stations were, like, fucking just homeless people sleeping everywhere and trash everywhere. And it was
off,
it was just disgusting.
The Hunter Biden fucking
exactly the Hunter Biden special. Yeah,
the nigga's like, you're mad at me. You're in my house right now, and I'm just
like, dog, I'm on the subway platform. All right, but yeah, the bathroom had like a bunch of just shit on the floor, and it was just disgusting. But anyway, we take the BART in, we go, we have a great time at the show, and then to get back, the BART apparently closed at midnight, and we didn't know that, so we had to get an Uber from San Francisco back to Oakland. So we get back to the house like 2 a.m. and this is like again, it's in the heart of like the Oakland fucking hood, and there's like a gate, like it's like a gated house that we were staying in, and we couldn't get over the gate because like I don't know, our friends were inside, the doors were locked, they were asleep, so we were trying to call somebody to come let us in. And I look down the street, and probably like half a mile away, I see this fucking like blacked out like Lincoln Navigator, like a fucking 2009, 2010 spinning rims. Like you could tell, like this he balled out on this car. And I see it just sitting in the middle of the road. And then I look back at my buddy, and I'm like, all right, so should we call somebody? And right after I say that, you just hear two very distinct shotgun blasts. Doom, doom. And then I look back and I see the Navigator just starts speeding down the street towards us, doing like 70-ish, 65, 70, and it's like a 30. So I immediately just like hop over the fence and hide. And as I look back through, my buddy just laid on the ground. Like, I don't know what the fuck his plan was, but he just laid on the sidewalk. And as I look back, like, and I see the car drive by this time, like, they just sped up to get like away from that house. And now they slowed back down. They're going like 45 or whatever. And I see the windows down, and I see the dude in the passenger seat holding like a shotgun, the dude in the driver's seat, and they're both laughing. Like they're having the best time of their lives. Like just did a drive-by, and they're just like, yeah, this is great, man. I love Saturday nights. And I'm just like, fuck me. I need to, yeah, so at that point, I just like ran to the back door, and like just pretty much, I'm pretty sure it was locked, so I think I might have gone through like a window or something. I don't know. I fucking got in the house as quick as I could, made sure all the doors were locked, and then I couldn't fall asleep because I thought this dude like saw me, so I was like, this guy's gonna come back and murder everybody, and I need to be awake so I can run out the back door when it happens.
Dude, oh my god. But
yeah, obviously it was fine. But yeah, that's the last time I went to the Bay, and I don't think I'm gonna go back anytime soon.
Yeah. Dude,
it was fucking terrible, man. Like, I don't know. I just don't get how like. And that, the weird thing to me is, like, I don't understand how people who live there, like, maybe it's like the frog in the boiling water. Like, if you throw it in, it'll jump right out. But if you slowly bring up the temperature, it'll die. It won't realize what's happening. Maybe it's like that. Like, it's just been getting progressively worse over the years, and no one really notices it. But, like, how can you live there and just say, like, one, this is normal and okay. Two, I'm going to keep voting for the same people who did this.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that blows my mind. It's like, bro, I don't like Republicans. I don't like Democrats. I don't like political parties in general. Yeah. But, like, you have to vote for a political party. Yeah. And if they're in charge of your area, maybe you should just vote for the guy who's not the guy doing this to you. Yeah. Like, just try something new. But just try something new.
They don't, like, actually consider, like, who they want to vote for and what they actually believe. They just, like, see whose party they are, and they're like, oh, well, we're going to vote for the Democrats. Right,
but that's my point, though. Like, don't you, like, and maybe I'm giving people too much credit, but, like, if you vote for the same party year after year and shit just gets worse, at some point, you should have enough of a self-awareness to realize, hey, maybe I should vote for the other guy, because I've been voting for these guys for 20 years, and shit's gotten worse.
The Democrats are better at framing it as caring for the homeless people, because they are the ones that are like talking about how much they care about homeless people. And in reality, the Republicans,
there's more of them. It gets worse.
So people aren't willing to actually look into that. They're just like, this is what these people are saying. And the Republicans come off as, we don't care about them, but it's not even like that. It's like, most of them don't care. Because, like, honestly, I don't care. I don't want to attach that to my political leaning. I just don't care. But, like, fucking, the Republicans, whenever they say things, it sounds like they don't care about homeless people. And it's really easy to convince yourself you're being a good person by voting for the Democrats. So you don't even look into the actual, like, you trick yourself. Like, you get cognitive dissonance and, like, end up believing that it's actually going well. Because you're like, oh, yeah, like, we're doing everything right, and the Republicans are the one that are making this wrong.
Yeah, no, and I see how that happens. I just, like, I don't know, man. I think the big issue with it is just, like, political, like I said, like, political parties in general. It's like, you shouldn't vote based on party. What's up?
It's a shitty concept.
Yeah, it's a terrible concept. Like, vote based on policy and person. Do not vote based on party. Because when you vote based on party, you get the shit that you get now with, like, both Republicans and Democrats, where it's like, if you ask the average person who's, like, a registered Democrat, and you ask them, like, hey, what are your values? What do you believe in? Maybe not anymore, but I would be willing to argue up to, like, 5 years ago, Republicans and Democrats would agree on about 60% of stuff. Maybe more. Just like basic, like, hey, we should have a secure border. Hey, drugs are bad. Hey, you shouldn't be giving children sex change surgeries.
Yeah.
Like, very basic things where it's like, hey, you know what? Like,
I think
we agree. Hey, these are things we can all agree on. We can.
I think we still agree on, like, a lot of shit. Like, everyone wants, well, most people want America to be better. Mm-hmm. But the thing is like, the Democrats and Republicans don't, like, even themselves don't want it to be a functioning system. They want it to be just those two. So, like, they only talk about the things we disagree about.
Oh, for sure.
So you're coming from a place of disagreement and you're seeing somebody as the enemy automatically because you're like, well, I believe that gay people should have rights. And then you're like, I see this person as thinking that gay people are the worst. And it's like, that might not even be where they're coming from, but just that's automatically what's assumed about them. So it's like, okay, whenever you're talking about, then they'll bring up abortion. And it's like, one side sees it as like a woman's choice and the other side sees it as you're killing a baby. And it's like, even if you don't agree with them, you have to, like, see where they're coming from, but you don't want to. Because it's like, no, I don't want to see them as a person, because then it makes it harder to, like, put them in a box and just, like, dislike them.
Well, and the thing with abortion that, like, blows my mind the most is when you have people, like, not every Democrat, obviously, not every person on the left, but when you have, like, a certain group of them where they're just so ideologically committed to the idea that abortion is good, that they can genuinely and seriously say, when you get an abortion, it's nothing. It's nothing. It might as well be a shit. It's a clump of cells. It's like, all right, sure. Technically, depending on what time in the pregnancy you get an abortion, it is not a lot more than a clump of cells. But if you leave it alone, it turns into a person.
Yeah. Like, the argument that they're going to die, like, that they're willing to die on is like, you should be able to do it up to, like, when it's basically ready to come out.
Exactly. And that's where it's like, for me, it's like, look, abortion, first trimester, hey, you know what? Have fun. Go crazy. I get it. Whatever. Yeah. I don't think you should do it, but I think you should be allowed to do it. Second trimester, it gets a little dicier, like if there's medical issues or if there's like an underlying legit reason where it's like, hey, look, she was going to do it in the first trimester, but she couldn't get an appointment. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. It's like, okay.
But once you get into the third trimester, it's
once you get to the third trimester, it's like the only reason you should be allowed to have an abortion
if you're going to die.
Because otherwise it's like once you get to the third trimester, that baby could be prematurely born and kept alive in an incubator. That's alive. Like once it can survive outside of the mother's body, that for me personally is where I draw the line. Now, where I draw the line is not where everybody does. And I understand that and I'm okay with that. But I do think at a certain point as a society, we do need to acknowledge it's a person. It is what it is.
Dude, that's like I agree with you. Fuck, I lost my train of thought on it. Fucking like whenever they say it's like my body, my choice, it's like, yeah, I do think it should be your choice because it's your body, but I don't think abortion is your first choice. Because first of all, you're choosing to have unprotected sex with a dude. Like, and obviously, unless it's rape, and everyone agrees, if someone gets raped, you should be able to abort a baby.
Yeah, of course.
And at what point does it become the baby's choice over their body, whether they are aborted?
I think that, so I do think that that's a very interesting argument, and I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a wrong argument, but I would say that, like, I think that's up to us as a society to decide, hey, look.
But you actually have to be able to have that discussion rather than just make it binary.
Right, and we can't, though, because it's binary. Because right now, no one wants it to be a deeper conversation. They want it to be left versus right.
And right and wrong.
Exactly. And it's like, guys, it's a complicated issue. Like, it's a very, very complicated topic. And, like, to be, furthermore, I don't think that men shouldn't have an opinion on it, but I do think that women being women, they have a lot more like of a fight, so to speak. Like they have a lot more say in it. So I do think that, like, to a certain extent, it is something that every woman needs to decide for herself. Because at the end of the day, she's the one having the procedure. She's the one doing it. It's her thing. Yeah, but again, like, once you reach 9 months, it's like, no, that, you know what I mean? So, and I don't know. I sound like I'm flip-flopping because it's such a complicated issue that I genuinely don't really know where I fall on it, because it's like, morally, I don't like the idea of abortion. Morally speaking, I think it's just kind of gross. I think it's weird. It's like, no, you got pregnant, you're having a kid. Like, unless it's rape, incest, those cases, yes. Yeah. Do it, you don't even need to tell anybody. Just take care of it.
Other people believe different things, so they can make their choice.
Exactly.
Exactly. Reasonable.
Like, some people think that
reasonable. That's what it is. It's got to be a reasonable thing. And that's where I think it's a cultural issue, not like a law issue. Because if we had a unified culture on this topic where it's like...
It wouldn't even need to be like such a complicated, politicized thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think a lot of politicized stuff we deal with now is because we no longer have a unified culture on these issues. Yeah. Because when you have a monoculture, when you have a unified culture who relatively believe the same moral rights and wrongs, you don't need to have conversations about abortion because everyone agrees, whether right or wrong, that it's basically killing a baby and you shouldn't do it. But if you need to, we get it. Like, that was what the thought was. That was like safe, legal, and rare. The thing Democrats would always say is their abortion argument. Now, it's not safe, legal, and rare. It's as often as possible. Shout it from the rooftops. You should get more abortions. Have 5 or 6. It's a good thing. Yeah. It's not a good thing.
It's crazy because
you can do it, but it's not good.
It just... They try to be... The people that are, like, super for abortion try to be, like, the most liberal people, and it's like... I don't think you guys understand how close you're getting. Like, you are turning into Icarus, flying close to the sun to getting to a eugenics.
Yeah, no, it's literally, it becomes well, Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, was a eugenicist.
He has a tortoise named Margaret Sanger.
No shit.
Dude. Because it's like, all right, that she literally said this is to, like, stop black people from procreating. And it's like, all right, well... Like, that's why Kanye was getting, like, one of the things that he was getting in trouble for is saying, like, there's a Holocaust on black kids because 60 million black babies have been aborted. And it's like, okay, that's a different conversation. Right. And, like, also the responsibility is going to have to come on black people eventually because they're still doing it. But it's like, you're really getting close to the Hitler thing because, like, the argument they'll make with it is like, but what if it's a mentally ill baby?
That one is crazy.
That's the one that blows my... So I have a theory about, like, people who use that argument where they're like, well, what if it's a mentally ill baby? And it's like...
That is exactly what Hitler was thinking before.
Exactly. Like, my theory is basically that, like, I don't know. I mean, it's conspiratorial for certain, but the woke ideology, if you allow any sort of ideology, especially one that hijacks a group of people's, in my opinion, critical thinking skills and ability to think for themselves, and they just buy into the dogma and the beliefs of the system, eventually you're going to get to a point where those people no longer have the ability to critically think enough to not do things that they otherwise would know were bad things to do. Yeah. That's what happened to, the German people under the Nazi rule. That's what happened to many Soviet people during Stalin and the Chinese with Mao, so on and so forth. You eventually get to a point where you have so much control over the people and how they're thinking that you can tell them things and they will repeat those things. And then when people like us who aren't in that line of ideology hear it, we think, oh my God, you're a eugenicist. And they think like, well, no,
I'm for women's rights.
Yeah, I'm a women's rights.
Like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, that would be a funny bit
if, like,
that'd be a funny bit if, like, you were explaining somehow, like, how segregation would actually be good. And then, like, they're like, you're an extreme racist. You're like, no, I'm a social justice warrior.
Yeah, well, dude, exactly. So, it's crazy you say, like, the segregation thing, because if you look at a lot of U.S. colleges now, they have person of color rooms and white people. Like, they literally are resegregating. And it's like, are you people fucking... Well, and on top of it, and obviously, it's like you're black, I'm white. So, obviously, you are thinking at this from a black guy's perspective, and I'm thinking of it as a white guy's perspective. But from my perspective, it's like... You're literally reinforcing for black people and white people that they should be
separated.
And you're basically telling black people, hey, we don't think that you're mentally strong enough to be able to handle the strain of a white person being in the room. So we removed him for you.
Dude, what bothers me is, like, the whole affirmative action thing where they, like, tried to frame that in a way where it's like, we're helping black people. But it's like, we're going to kill you by making your standards so low that you can just be, it's okay for you to be dumb. Because we want you to be dumb. We're like, okay, we can't stop you from coming to colleges anymore, but we can make it to where it's the least possible that you're going to be able to like do.
You're not going to be successful. If you get into Harvard, you're still not going to be successful. You're going to flunk out after 2 semesters because you're not smart enough for the school, but we have a quota. So we're going to let 10 of you in and maybe one of you. It's like, no, that's fucked up. Like, if you want to go to college, I think you should. And I think that you should go to a college that you have the ability to do. Like, if you are someone who wants to go to college, but you're not super smart, okay, hey, go to community college, go to a state school, do what you can.
It's like buying a car. Like, you should be able to buy a car. Like, if you want to go to a college, you can. But don't show up to somewhere and be like, I want a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're qualified for a 2017 pre-owned certified Honda Civic. You can't just be like, well, I want it. And it's like, okay, well, now the few black people that they're meeting in Harvard are dumb people that aren't up to the standard of Harvard. And it's like, there was actual black people that could have made it in there because they met the standard. They worked hard and they made it. And it's like, no.
Well, I think in a situation like that, though, like, I do think even with like affirmative action, like, obviously if you have 50 white dudes and 50 black dudes and 20 of the black dudes have the highest GPA and then 20 of the white dudes have the same highest GPA, obviously the 20 black dudes who do genuinely qualify, they are definitely going to get in. Yeah. But then the 20 white dudes who are just as qualified as the 20 black dudes who are able to get in aren't going to get in because there's 20 other black dudes who aren't. You see what I'm saying? So it's
that's how I got fried with college.
Yeah, well, so I think that obviously you do have at these institutions, they do still have to a certain extent the best of the best going there, the smartest people they possibly can. So I don't think it's so much as an intelligence issue. I think it's just more of there are obviously the people who are going there are intelligent enough to get in, but then there's also a certain amount that probably aren't, but they still are allowed in.
It's a weird,
and it's
there's a lot of really smart people that don't get let in because of their skin color.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's such a weird.
And it's racism when you really just break when you just break it down and now. They've been
just the opposite of what it was.
They call it
to a certain degree.
They call it reverse racism, but it's like, no, it's not reverse racism.
Yeah, it's just racism.
I hate how now people are like, no, racism is like something about bullshit about power structures.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, racism is one race seeing themselves as dominant over another.
Well, it's not even about domination. It's just seeing one race as better in some way or it doesn't need to be about it. It's literally just,
but they're like, I don't rate them as much.
It's just racial breakups. It's like, okay, you're white, you're black, so you're going to go in this room, he's going to go in that room. No, that's racist. You're literally separating people based on race. No, we're just being inclusive of people so they only have to see their own skin color. That's racism. But they don't see it that way. It's the same thing as the eugenics stuff. They've gotten to a point, and it's really only the really woke people, because I have friends who are pretty woke.
They have common sense.
Exactly. They're still able, if I show them an article of really woke crazy stuff, they'll be able to read the article.
Okay, that's nuts.
Exactly. So it's not every liberal or woke person.
It's the worst of both sides.
Yeah, and then on the right
that's QAnon retards.
Yeah, exactly. And then on the right you have the QAnon
Redditor neckbeard.
Yeah, neckbeard Redditor. Yeah. The Milady meme with the fedora,
dude.
But yeah, no. So you just and that's the thing that bugs me the most, is that it is just the left extreme and the right extreme that everyone thinks of as the normal person from those sides. Because you talk to anyone who's independent, maybe a little more Democrat leaning. Hey, what do you think of the average Republican? Oh, they're a racist Trumper who probably charged the Capitol. And it's okay, no, but all right. And then you ask the average Republican or right-leaning person, hey, what do you think of the average Democrat?
Faggot!
Yeah. Oh, they have blue hair and they're protesting because they don't get their way because they're pussies and they just want everything for free. And it's no, not all of them. Not all of them. That's maybe 1% of the left and the right are those things.
It's the loud minority that fucking speaks for the silent majority. And so it's the few crazy people are the loudest ones. And
right.
Everyone's all right, well, I'll listen to them because they're the ones talking. And then everyone's kind of quiet and then no one really believes it. And they're oh, well. And then eventually they get to a point where they can't go back on it now and be all right, well, I don't believe that because they've already fully bought into it.
Well, and that's the thing. That's the thing that annoys me is when you have what do they call it? I wouldn't say it's the silent majority, but I think it's the banality of evil. Because all that has to happen, and obviously this is a hyperbolic, I don't mean evil in a literal sense, but the only thing that needs to happen for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. And I genuinely think, like, if you hear someone, whether it's someone on the left or the right, spouting crazy bullshit, you call them out. You just say, like, hey, man, no, like, that's wrong. And, like, sure, you might get ostracized, or you might get, you know, called an idiot or a Trumper or a whatever. But it's like, dude, if you see someone say something that you know is wrong, you have a responsibility, in my opinion, to say, like, well, hold on, that's not true.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, like, don't be mean about it, but just straight up say, like, what?
Political conversations are, like, taboo now, though.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's because people...
almost any format, because people are so behind their thing, they believe it, they make it a part of them.
Well, I think it's a mixture. That is true. I do think, like, they take it on as an identity, but I think it's a mixture of, you have people who have similar average beliefs to, like, kind of how we think. Like, us three here, like, I think we're a pretty decent representation of the average independent thinker in America. But most people don't have the ability, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to be put on the spot. They don't want people to know, so they don't say anything. So they just sit there and go, like, yeah, sure, like you were saying. Like, and eventually it gets to a point where they're like, I can't speak up now. And that's how it is. So I think for most people, it really is just they're afraid to speak out because they think that the mob will come after them, when in reality, it's like, dude, if 1,000 people on Twitter are mad at you, like...
That's literally what happened in the French Revolution, dude.
Yeah. Right.
Like, we talked about it before, like, the people, I forgot what they're called. He took a whole class on it, but, like, the people that, like, Robespierre had together, like, the gathering of, like, 400 people, like, a lot of them were, like, half of them were like, all right, all the killing people is, like, too much, let's not do this. But they couldn't say anything because then they're going to look like they're not as revolutionary as everybody else. And so then they're going to be the next one that gets put up.
Well, then Robespierre was eventually executed.
Because
then it hit its breaking point. Because, like, it was the States General or whatever was their, like, little gathering. And it became just, like, it boiled down to just a competition of, all right, either we can act sane and make rational decisions and be, like, moderate, and then eventually Robespierre's going to say we're a traitor and kill us, or we can just be a completely insane person and go along with it. And then he pulled up to the court one day and is literally like, I have a list of a shit ton of you people that are traitors, and we're going to try you and execute you tomorrow.
Oh, good.
And I'm not going to tell you who it is, though. I'll tell you tomorrow.
Right, you'll find out.
And then he walks out, and this was after at least half of them had been, like, tried and, like, either executed or imprisoned.
They've been getting busy.
And everyone looks at each other after he walks out, and they're like, all right, guys, like, this has to stop.
We need to do something.
Yeah, and then they're like, okay, well, we're going to turn it around on him. He's going to show up tomorrow to read his list, and we're just going to fucking arrest him, and we're going to cut his fucking head off.
And he shot himself in the face. Like,
but it didn't.
Dude,
did
yeah,
it not kill him?
Yeah, he tried to like commit suicide, shot himself in the face, blew his whole lower jaw off, and they just, like, wrapped his face up in, like, a rag and threw him in a prison cell for, I want to say, like, 20 hours or something.
Oh my god!
And then they carted him out and cut his fucking head off.
Jesus.
Yeah.
The French Revolution. That's some wild shit, man.
Yeah.
It's nuts because, like, it had
for
to
a whole
happen.
college course, apparently.
A whole college? It was an entire course?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Dude, because there's so much that went into it. Like,
and they talked about,
many different factors that went into it.
And they talked about, like, the 3 different ones. Grant's calling.
Pick up.
Should I?
Yeah, put it on speaker.
What's up, Grant? You're on the pod.
Grant, you're on the podcast. Don't say nigga for a second.
Hang on. I'm going to add Nate's to call.
Huh?
I'm sitting right here. I can hear you.
Yeah, yeah, Nate's right here. We're doing a podcast episode. What are you talking about?
Grant, don't say nigga.
Don't say nigga. Oh, don't say nigga? Okay. Hey.
No one knows what color his skin is yet. We're good.
What's the move? Hey, this nigga true is he's fucking nuts, bro.
He's what?
He's dancing with the devil.
What?
No.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Addison, nigga. He said True's dancing with the devil.
I
Dancing with the
couldn't
devil?
believe it.
What, like the Immortal Technique song? Is that what he's talking about?
No, there's this crazy bitch that he's fucking is not good for him, but he's
He's dancing with the devil, though.
dancing with the devil. It's fun until you get burned.
Oh, for sure.
Get ready. I already got my boots on. We're going to a country bar in Sparks. We're going to go there. We're going to ambush them.
No, that's so cringe.
That's why you got boots?
That's so
Well, you guys never got swing dancing?
No, I fucking never danced.
Bro, swing
I dance
dancing's
like a white
fun as
person.
fuck. Yeah, swing dancing's white people dancing.
No, I dance like... Okay,
Bro,
then
if you
black
dance
person.
like a white person, I will teach you how to swing dance. It's easy as fuck.
Somewhere though.
I'm not going to go tonight, obviously. I'm wearing a fucking
Dude, I'm not going to that. I'm not doing that.
Dude, me and Mo on Saturday might go to a swing dancing bar with our ladies.
Oh, which one is it? The Mo put Rory on a new bar. It's like a country bar that we went to. I forgot what it's called.
Probably that one then. Dude. Fucking Rory. Oh, Rory.
I fucking love Rory, dude. He's one of my favorite.
He's a fun
comics.
kid. I don't know why I call him a kid. He's older than me. He's
37.
Is he 37? I thought he was like 42. No, I'm being serious. I'm not even trying to be mean. Like, I genuinely thought like Rory was like 40 plus.
Rory looks like an old man, dude.
Damn, he looks like fucking.
Coming to the wall for country night.
Fuck, what's his name? What's his name? God damn it! God damn it! The fucking Dukes of Hazzard. The fucking.
Yeah, I do not have boots.
Boss Hogg.
Huh?
Boss Hogg.
I haven't seen the movie.
I've got
the fucking TV show.
That was a TV show?
Bro, the Dukes of Hazzard?
Yeah.
It's like the original fucking... Yeah, it was a TV show.
The Confederate flag?
Yeah, it was a TV show in like fucking 70s, 80s.
I knew that it was a thing. I didn't know what like it was, though.
Oh, yeah, no, it was a TV show. So it was about them Duke boys. So Bo and Luke Duke, they were brothers, and they lived on a farm with their Uncle Jesse in Georgia, and Uncle Jesse was a moonshiner. So Uncle Jesse would fucking make moonshine, and then it's crazy that like the show's connected to it like this because it was like a real thing that moonshiners would like soup up their cars.
That's how NASCAR started.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You have a bit about that. Yeah. Right.
No.
Okay. Maybe someone else does. I don't know. Anyway. So yeah, in the show, Bo and Luke are moonshine runners. So they drive around in the General Lee, that badass fucking Dodge. I think it was a 69.
That's what they call it, the General Lee?
General Lee,
That's
yeah.
sick.
I think it was a 69 Charger, but badass car. Yeah, so they would so that was the whole show. The whole show was them like running from the cops, fucking doing moonshine deliveries and doing like races and stuff. And like the sheriff was always after them. And yeah, it was a fucking great show. I mean, like it probably didn't age well.
Dude,
but
it would have been sick.
It probably didn't age well, so I don't know how good it is now. But like, I remember when I was a kid, I would watch like my dad would have it on like fucking TV Land. You remember the TV Land channel?
I'm like 22, dude.
Yeah.
Wait, what's TV Land?
TV Land is
had
a
like
channel.
Bonanza for like 12 hours straight.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Bonanza, what the fuck
so
is
it's
that?
like old shows from like the
MASH.
50s, 60s, and 70s. So TV Land would be like classic. So like now it's probably got like Family Matters and like the Cosby. Well, maybe not the Cosby Show, but it's got like shit from that era now.
Separate the art from the artist.
Hey, not me. It's TV Land,
dude.
But yeah, no, TV Land was a classic show or a classic channel. It would have all that crazy shit on it.
Dude, we were talking about like people like where they get a cognitive dissonance where they convince themselves that something is true. I had a girl tell me that like she was like, oh yeah, I kind of regret like listening to R. Kelly music, and she told me that I should. She told me
Ignition is always going to be a classic. Like I don't care.
She told me that I should be more ashamed of the fact that I like Kanye. And I was like,
fuck that, bitch.
Telling me to be ashamed of something?
Fuck that. See, like, that's the thing I can't understand. It's like when people... That is so, like, that's just pretentious. Like, she's just being a cunt. That's literally all it is. She's just like, well, she's virtue signaling to you that she's better than you because she thinks you should feel shame for liking an artist who did something that's not good.
Like, and it's like the thing that blows my mind is like, I can accept that girls are going to do stupid, like, girls will do stupid shit like that.
Right.
But it's like, wait a second. If R. Kelly did what he is accused of, it's fucking a 13-year-old girl. Kanye's made dumb anti-Semitic comments, and you think that that's like
worse? Yeah, equals.
And it's like, what? Like that's the part that gets me.
Right.
It's like I can accept you're gonna be like you have to change who you are like for a liberal girl to not be because I can't be me.
Right. I can't be
just
me.
Lie.
I just lie. Yeah, that's what I started doing. I started getting way more
Gamer
pussy,
life hacks. How to get pussy. Just lie.
I started getting way more pussy whenever I was just like, yeah, whatever. Like if they spout off shit, like I don't argue because I used to have that issue where like girls would like bring up weird like weirdly political shit.
Right.
And I would like answer honestly, like the transgender thing. And
like, well, I just cock blocked myself.
Exactly.
Right? There goes that one.
Oh like, yeah, babe, I agree with you so much. Yeah, save the turtles. Can you please suck my cock now?
The one that I'm thinking of, it bothered me because it was me saying I don't think that transgender women should be able to go into women's bathrooms. And like I was like explaining like, no, I don't have an issue with them getting their own bathroom, but it's like there's like legitimate cases of people getting actual
but that's
women.
when they just gaslight you and say that doesn't happen.
Oh yeah, dude, there was a guy.
It doesn't happen.
There was a guy in Britain or England or I don't know whatever you call it these days, and he was a rapist, right? Mm-hmm. So before his sentencing, he transitioned from a man to a woman. So now he is going to be serving his sentence in a woman's prison, and he's a rapist.
Harvey Marsland. Harvey Marsland in New York City.
Mm-hmm. Fucking, like, how the fuck did, like, see, that's the cognitive dissonance to where it gets to the point where it's like, I can't take you people seriously.
Dude,
I can't believe that you're real.
Insane. There's this guy named Harvey Marsland who, like, back in the 60s got arrested from something minor, like killing a person and dismembering their body and leaving the parts in Central Park.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty small. Yeah, I do that every Tuesday.
It was like, got out for good behavior in the 80s and then, like, murdered another person, got out for COVID, murdered another person in like 2019.
Oh my god!
And then fucking cut their body up and got caught because the security footage caught them putting a leg somewhere. And then decided
putting a leg somewhere.
Then decided that Harvey decided that he was transgender and he was a woman. So now he's with women who he was killing all along. And in his last trial, he admitted he's like, I just have a very serious problem with women.
Oh my god!
And so, and now he's old as fuck.
Impregnating like two of them, right?
Oh no, yeah, that's a different one.
No, that's a different one. Yeah, because it's happening all over the place. Like at a certain point, man, like this is where the rubber meets the road. Like that to me is what's the scariest thing about how like ideologically committed these like super woke people are. It's because like we have literal documented evidence of what happens when your ideology is tried in real life, and this is the result.
Exactly, because it's literally like, all right, we have progressivism, we have all your shit now. Let's see what actually happens when we employ it.
Men who are rapists are going to go to prison, and then they just, now I'm a woman, and now they are, and like, oh, prison rape. They catch people doing that all the time. They always stop prison rape. Oh, they don't? Ever?
But again, half the people that like vote for that shit like cope by literally just saying that doesn't really happen.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And then the argument's over because it's like, well, okay, you don't believe that it actually happened. I'm saying it did. So there's not really anything that we can agree on here because it's like I know that there's prison rape happening. Mm-hmm. Like that shit is just absurd to me. Like fucking
dudes get their cheeks split open daily.
Chicks are raping each other with hairbrushes and shit too. So
see, like that's one I don't understand. Is like when a woman rapes a woman in a prison, it's like, why are you?
It's a
like,
power thing. It's not a sexual thing.
It's a power. Yeah, I guess it's a power.
Dude, that's what I mean, like, there's a nigga that I listened to, like a white dude that like got arrested for like jewel thievery or something, and like he talked about like he was like, oh yeah, like there's a misconception that gay dudes would like prison. He's like, no, like you're not gonna like to get fucked. This isn't a sexual thing. It is literally a power thing. And he talked about one guy like fucking raped a dude with a broomstick and like had the dude like screaming so loud that everyone in the prison heard it and they didn't do anything and the dude died.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Death by broomstick fuck.
Dude.
It's like a 2 Girls 1 Cup title.
Dude.
Death by broomstick. Harry Potter has a wild
one broomstick.
Harry Potter has a wild ride.
Dude, we were talking about that at the fucking Arch the other day. I miss all the gory videos of like fucking 2 Girls 1 Cup or like 1 man 1 jar.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're only 22, man, you missed the golden era of that shit.
Because I went back and caught it all when we were in our teens. People were like, "No, you need to watch this."
Like the Bud Dwyer clip.
Oh no, dude, I'm talking in like 2008. When you could go on YouTube and find decapitation videos.
What?
Like, you could go on YouTube and find ISIS putting a guy in a cage, covering it in gasoline, and then just burning him.
Oh, like, fuck, dude, that would have been sick.
That's what I mean when I say, like, the golden age of internet videos. And it's obviously terrible. Like, I wish I never saw half of it. But I like watching
fucked up shit.
Well, I wish I never saw half of it, but, like, before, like I don't know. It's kind of depressing to me to think that we'll never go back to an internet pre-2015.
Yeah.
Because, like, 2015 was when, like, and honestly, I think it's because Trump won.
Yeah.
That's when the social media
cracked down.
Yeah, all the social media companies, Facebook, Twitter, like Twitter. The weird one about Twitter to me is that, like, you can still post hardcore porn on Twitter, but if you call someone a a man and they want to be called a woman,
you're banned instantly.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so, and that's like a thing when I was talking about earlier with like cultural like norms, like that's a clear breakdown of the cultural fabric of America, because it used to be, maybe if you called a man in a dress a man in a dress instead of a woman, it used to mean a couple things. It used to mean either you're just being a dick, you think it's funny, or you didn't realize what you were doing, in the sense of like, yeah, you're not trying to be an asshole. Like if you knew that dude in a dress was trying to be a woman, you'd probably call it a woman because you don't want to be mean. But those are like the three things that would happen back then. And then if you saw like hardcore porn publicly posted on a social media website, like, you would immediately be like, what the fuck is this? You'd be upset. You'd be outraged. Now those are flipped, or at least they're supposed to be flipped based on the rules that Twitter has made. And it's just like, like who's actually believing this? And then, who do you think supports that? It's the woke people. And you're just like, what the fuck is like, and then they say like, showing porn to children, it's freeing, it's breaking them from the
like
constraints.
The drag shows?
Yeah, drag shows for kids. Like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, if you, I said it once, I'll say it a million times. If you want to go to a drag show, if you want to be a drag performer, good luck. Nothing but the best. I hope you find happiness. If you bring a child to a strip show,
no, it gets better than that though. Well, it gets better. There's kid drag shows.
No, that's what I'm saying. Wait,
no. Where there's kids being the drag queens.
No, there's
what? There's literally a TV show about like kids being drag queens. Yes,
and Child Protective Services, they're nowhere to be found. CPS, they're just out to lunch.
Because you remember whenever the liberals were so upset about like beauty pageants, because let's be fair, they are
fucked up. Yeah,
they are
weird.
Sexually, like you're trying to sexualize a 2-year-old. Yeah, they decided that that's not okay for girls, but for boys to dress up like that
as girls,
one of the like stars of the like, I think there's like a TV show about the little like
there's
drag.
a TV show about drag kids.
Yeah, the like.
Let me guess, it's on TLC?
Probably. But like the star of it's this little boy, and like there's videos of him because he like hangs out with like grown drag.
Oh, good. That's healthy.
And like there's a video of him like hanging out with one of them doing like an Instagram live and does like the gesture of like snorting ketamine, like talking about one of his other like adult drag friends.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, the
raising
adult
them right.
He could not have been older than like 8 to 10.
Yeah, really raising them right. See, that right there, like, that to me is the perfect indication that it's like, those are just really bad parents. Those are
they've let their child be in a room in a dress watching adults do ketamine.
Well, and they like are the ones who introduce their child to that, because like in my opinion, and
kid just doesn't find that like fall into that.
Like a kid, exactly
99.99% of the time.
And if a kid did like accidentally fall into that, it's called like kidnapping and child endangerment. Like if you just grab a kid and bring him to that situation, that is super against the law. But because these really shitty parents who have a clear ideological opinion that they're trying to push onto their child, and like I do see the argument when people say, well, people on the right do the same thing with religion. Okay, I do see that argument. Sure,
religion is a lot less harmful.
Well, yes and no. Let me make the argument, and you might know what I mean. But I think that like I see the argument in the sense of like, not most, but a large amount of terrible conflicts in human history have been driven by religion, without a doubt, for sure. It definitely has contributed its fair share of negativity to the world over the millennia. Sure, 100%. But it is also something that has given us the roadmap of a better way.
Of morality.
Whether you think it is a better way, whether you agree with the morality, whether you don't, whatever it might be, it gives you a purpose. It gives you something to strive for. It gives you a tenet, 10 commandments, a code, whatever you want to call it. It gives you some sort of higher power to strive towards, to make yourself better.
It's like the starter playbook for humans to coexist in a society.
Yeah. And it's like, and that's like Western religion, and then Eastern religion is very, very similar, but very different, because it's not that there's a God, it's that you are the God, but you need to reach that point of enlightenment. So you need to work on yourself until you get to the point where you recognize yourself as enlightened. Whereas on the other side with Western religion, it is you need to work towards a point to, you'll never be God, but you always are striving to be as good as that.
Yeah.
And those are the two things that it gives you. So sure, religion, I think that organized religion's terrible because I think humans are inherently corrupt and we pretty much destroy everything over a long enough period of time. Everything good becomes bad because of humans. But I think that the idea of religion and the moral structure of it is a net positive.
Yeah.
So if you're going to, quote unquote, groom your children, you should probably do it with something that's actually a positive, not something that's child endangerment. Because if you take a 9-year-old kid to a gay strip club for a drag show, there's a good chance that some shady shit's going to happen to your kid.
Yeah.
I don't know what it'll be. I don't know who's going to do it. Maybe it won't. Maybe you'll get lucky. But I feel like it's a very, and you could, again though, you can make the argument if you go to a church. There's a chance. There's a chance.
There are a lot of pastors, like Catholic priests, that fuck kids. But like even like compared to teachers teachers
too. Yeah,
they're way worse. And like I personally don't see hot female teacher to male student thing. I don't see that as sexual harassment or as an issue. But like any other shit, it is for real. No, but fucking dude.
No, I hear you. I hear you. I think what it is though is like, I think that, you know, with religious, I think that religious morality, not the institutions, but the morality that it teaches you and the self-discipline that it can give you if you allow it, I think is a net positive. Mm-hmm. Whereas there's no, like,
there is no
ideology.
There's no benefit to the kid that way. Like, what I was saying with religion is like, it's a good, at least it's teaching a moral code. You might not agree with the moral code, but it's teaching a set of morals. Right. It's like, okay, what is the benefit? What is the possible benefit of exposing a kid to that environment?
Well, they'll say like, oh, it's so that they will grow up knowing that those people exist and that those people are good people. You know what I mean? Like that's the argument they'll make. It's like, oh, it teaches them to respect all walks of life. Well, sure, it might teach them to respect. They say it's to teach them to respect all walks of life, but what it's really doing is it's choosing them to prefer and to have a predetermined preference for one walk of life. If it was really about respecting walks of life, then you would take your kid to church and a drag show. So the kid could see, hey, look, we have these people. We have these people. They both exist. There's good people in both groups. There's bad people in both groups.
But the kids that are like actually participating in that shit, and it's like they're letting them do it because that's what makes them happy.
That's disgusting. It's a 9-year-old.
If you're a grown adult and you know for sure that that's the only way that you can live to actually be happy, like
good for you.
Sure, go for it. But, like, there's no way a 9-year-old kid, like...
had that idea by themselves.
Like, what the fuck were we all doing when we were 9? What were we into when we were 9?
Hide and seek. And I just found out about Manhunt.
I was putting dog shit in golf ball holes at the golf course.
Exactly.
Dude, having fun.
Oh, I was having a blast, dude.
And, like, anything I got exposed to as a kid, like, I would just believe it and be like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Like, my friends started playing soccer. Oh, I'm going to play soccer. My friends are playing football. Oh, I'm going to play football. So if you bring me around a bunch of fucking gay people, I don't know.
Right.
Like, whenever I'm a kid, I'm saying, because those are your developmental years where you're, like, deciding what's cool.
You're trying shit out and seeing what sticks. Like, you go through being into so much bullshit that, like, when you look back, you're like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah. Well, dude, I still... So to this day, I have fucked up toes because when I was a kid, from, like, age 4 to, like, 7, and this is, like, a true story. I'll show you my toes if you don't believe me. I wanted to be a velociraptor more than anything else. That was like from fucking age 4 to 7.
Hard.
All I wanted to be was a velociraptor. I was a huge dinosaur kid. So I would take my second toe and my middle toe and I would cross them over each other so it looked like a velociraptor claw. And I would just live my life like that for like 3 years. And now my toes are like all twisted and fucked up looking because I wanted to be a velociraptor. Like, could you imagine if I grew up in today's day and age and my mom was like one of the woke people who was like, you know what you want, you're 5, but
like,
you know
you're going to be a giant.
She let you transition to a dinosaur.
Exactly. Like, imagine what the fuck? Like, I would, like, it'd be terrible. It'd be
get, like,
awful.
Scales surgically implanted on your skin.
Just fucking, like, canines and shit. I'm wearing contacts all the time to have the dinosaur eyes.
Dude, there are guys that are fucking...
And they're crazy people. Like, that's the thing. Like, you've seen the guys who have all the tattoos and, like, the facial piercings, and they look like goblins.
Oh,
and
no, I'm talking about the dude that turned himself into an alien.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that guy, too. Did you see the tiger guy?
But again...
Tiger guy.
These are fully grown adults that have lived their lives, and that's what they decided to do.
Exactly. It's weird. I'm going to tell them it's weird, but best of luck.
And, like, they are probably insane people, but at least they've decided to do that with their own insanity.
At least they're not killing people with their insanity.
And then whenever they kill someone, the issue is that they killed them, not the fact that they were doing all this shit. It's like, all right. It's like, let's attack the thing that matters.
No, exactly. That's the thing. Like, I think what it really boils down to is, like, once you're 18, you're an adult. You're an adult. But like if you're a child, even if you're a teenager, 16, 17, your parents still have legal control over you for a reason, because your
prefrontal cortex
you're not accountable for the consequences of like a decision that your parents groomed you into.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So and that's the tricky thing too, though, is because like you have the parents who are pushing their children into these things. So I honestly, for the most part, I believe in parental rights to the point where I think like, yeah, if you're a woke progressive person and you want to do that to your kid, I think it's wrong. And I think that there should be laws in place to protect that child. But that being said, you are the parent. That's on you. And if your kid eventually goes through, maybe your
kid
wants
to detransition, hates you, then you just have to deal with that for the rest of your life.
Exactly. Or if you have like, maybe you get lucky and your kid at 11, 12 says they're trans, and then 10 years later, they're 22 and they're happy. Good for them. But more often than not, kids who are like, oh, well, I'm just like, and the crazy thing is they tell kids that hormone blockers are
reversible
and reversible.
They're like, we can stop it. And it's like, no, you're pausing your hormones at like whatever age you are.
Right. And then they won't, like, if they're paused for like a certain amount of time, or depending on how your hormones
catch up, you're still at that level.
Fucked. Yeah, exactly. And there's no reversing. And then they can say like, oh, well, we'll just give you like a bunch of testosterone. It's like, dude, you're never going to be able to give if you put a 11-year-old boy on hormone blockers, and then 3 years later, when he's 14, you just take him off the hormone blockers and start giving him a bunch of testosterone, like steroids, basically. It's never going to work. He's never going to be where he's supposed to be hormonally.
Bones are going to be brittle and shit.
And
exactly.
The thing is, it's not even just blocking hormones. They're giving him Lupron. Lupron is what they use.
It's a chemical castrator.
They use that shit in Georgia to chemically castrate pedophiles. I'm like, yeah, we're going to give this to kids.
Is that like the same shit they used on the guy, Alan Turing, that invented computers?
What?
What?
The British government chemically castrated the guy that made the first computer.
The Enigma machine.
Solved the Enigma code. And they were like, like that was sick.
Gay.
Yeah, they were like, that was sick as fuck, but like you're gay, so we're gonna make you chemically castrate yourself. And the shit made him kill himself. R.I.P.
The funniest, it's fucked up, but the funniest thing about that is like, you guys didn't need to castrate him. He's gay. Like, it's not like he's fucking reproducing. It's not like he's out here having kids.
Dude, I forgot who has a bit on it. They're like religions will like have people fuck to make kids and like try and spread their religion that way. He's like, they should take a page from the gays book. They can't even procreate, and there's more of them like every day. Dude, I forgot whose that is, but that one's a fucking solid one.
I feel like the British government, like, punishing him for being gay is definitely like a kettle calling the fucking
for sure.
or whatever situation.
They're like, oh yeah, well, we all like powdered wigs and dressing up like homos, but it's not because we're actually gay.
Yes, Nigel, would you please kill the Enigma man? Yes.
The Enigma queer.
Yes.
Oh
nice.
God.
What do you call this contraption? A computer. Very nice. You're not having children. Yeah. Oh, you're gay. You're still not having them.
Dude, imagine if that was like, if you could pass that through, like if Lil Nas X has a kid, and like that made me laugh so hard because I imagined him just sitting there crying, fucking a bitch.
Oh god, no! What if? I feel like it was probably a woman who transitioned into a man but still had a vagina.
Oh yeah,
and she told him that she was a man, so he thought he was fucking an ass. But he was really hitting her in the cooter.
It stung so bad.
That'd be a bait and switch of the century.
Wow.
She tapes her asshole up and then she just does it in a weird way. He slips in the pussy and it stinks so bad that he's like, oh yeah, that stinky backwood, I know.
The ultimate bait and switch for Lil Nas X. God, that's a weird individual,
piece of work.
Man.
I like him though. But
Old Town Road's a banger though.
Yeah, it is. Especially with Billy Ray Cyrus.
Oh, dude, Billy Ray. I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road.
I'm embarrassed at how much I listen to that song.
Fly till I can't no more. Dude, he doesn't say fly, does he? He
says fucking ride till I can't no more.
Ride till I can't no more.
As a heterosexual man, I realized that's a Lil Nas X song, and he's saying he's gonna ride until he can't no more. I was like, oh wow,
I didn't know he was gay for a while.
Yeah, because like he was just a funny dude.
Yeah.
Like that's what
I thought he was just a goofball,
dude. Yeah, that's the thing.
Instant
is like,
rock face.
I don't like whenever like a gay person makes it their whole personality. Like, if you're a gay dude, like Lil Nas X is hilarious. I fucking like him. And then, like, also, he happens to be gay. So it's like, a secondary thing. Like, I don't give a fuck that Jake is straight. Like, how straight or gay Jake is doesn't really have an effect on my life.
Exactly.
So it's like, just don't make that have an effect on my life where I have to be a part of your fucking gender preference.
Well, that's the thing. And like that ties back to like the whole thing with like transgender people. It's like, hey man, if you want to be a trans person, go for it. But like, you cannot force people. Like, if you are a man and you want to be a woman, great. But you can't force people. Like, and that's the thing that bugs me the most is like, it's a genuine like disconnect from reality, in my opinion. I think a big part of it is because it's become. I mean, obviously, you know, trans people have existed for a long time, and there have been a lot more coming out lately, and it, you know, you could make the argument that it's because it's a more tolerant time, we're more progressive, and I think that has a lot to do with it. But I also think that the reason why it's so like vitriol to the point where it's like, fuck you, you're going to accept the fact that I'm a woman even though I'm not, is because I think a lot of the people now who are coming out and transitioning are millennials, millennials, Gen Z, younger generations. And I mean, I'm a millennial, and growing up, like, yeah, I can for sure say, like, my generation was the participation trophy generation and the just try your best and it'll be okay. Everybody's a winner. Your opinion
is important.
Yeah, your voice matters. All this shit where it's like, dude, once you become an adult, like, it fucking doesn't. No one gives two shits about you.
Earn it mattering.
No one fucking cares. Like, I love, my favorite one is that, oh, well, we should respect everyone's human rights. It's like, no, dude, respect is earned. Like, I will treat you cordially and I will be kind to you unless you give me a reason not to. Like, I try to be nice and kind to people just because it's the right thing to do. Yeah. That being said, though, I can be nice to you and not respect you. And if I don't, like, the difference for me, like, between respect and not respect is, like, if I respect you, if you tell me something, I'm going to genuinely listen. I'm going to do what you're asking me to do because I respect you. I am very, like, I don't like being told what to do. Mm-hmm. If you want to tell me what to do, you need to earn my respect. And once you do, I'll do anything you tell me to do because I respect you, because I trust you, because I know that you're a good, solid person. But that comes with time. It takes a lot of time. It's just like trust. Respect and trust, they're very similar. And I think that, you know, that's not to say you should just be disrespectful and rude to people, but it's like...
Disrespectful and rude are two very different things.
Yeah, exactly. Like...
And well, I mean, not respecting someone doesn't automatically make it disrespectful. That's actually a spectrum. Right. Like, some people, it's like, yeah, I respect them as a person, but then it's like, you could also really respect someone as a human and like all their work. And then it's like, all right, I don't respect this guy, but I don't have an issue with him. And then there's a guy where you're like, oh, I don't only just like disrespect him. He's at the bottom level.
Right. I hate him.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And I think like respect is a thing where like it comes in a lot of like different, you know, shapes and sizes, so to speak. Like there's people who I meet, I don't know, like at the gym where it's like that dude is clearly like a big buff dude. He's jacked. I respect the work he's put in to get that physique. And he, you know, I respect, like if he told me training knowledge, I would take it very seriously and respect what he says and agree with him. And then you have like the situation of respecting the police. It's like, yeah, like I respect the police as an institution in the sense of I know if I don't, life is worse. Yeah. So I'm always like very like that's really what it is. Like just be respectful. Like at the end of the day, for sure, you're either pro police or anti.
And it's like, no, the police do suck, but I want them to be better.
Right?
Like, oh yeah, let's defund the cops. It's like,
that's how we improve things.
That's always how you make a system that's really fucked up good is by cutting off its money.
Oh well, for sure. Well, I think that like the defund the police movement. One, I think obviously we should not defund the police, but I think what it should have been is like. There's definitely improvements that could be made to the police. Like, for starters, I think that they spend a ridiculous amount of money on tactical gear. It's like, dude, you're not, like, you should have a SWAT unit, and then, like, depending on how big of a city, maybe an anti-terrorist unit, maybe a couple, you know what I mean? Like, you want to have that
actually train people.
It was because the North Hollywood shootout, though.
Whenever exactly, those guys with the bank robbers back in the 90s. Like, AKs with drum mags and body armor and shit. Dude, I've watched that. So, speaking of OG YouTube, I saw like the uncut, unedited 14-minute news report, like live feed. I mean, obviously it wasn't live when I watched it, but it used to be on YouTube back in the day. And you could see like when the dude, so one of the dudes, I remember he was like getting in the car trying to drive away. He got shot up. You could see like the blood spray onto the dashboard. And then the other dude, once he realized his buddy in the car was dead, just pulled out a handgun and domed himself. And you see the whole thing. God, I mean, it's from like a police helicopter, so it's not like Quentin Tarantino.
I was gonna say that literally sounds like fucking Tarantino. What's it called? Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, right. But that was like So, like, obviously there's reasons for police to have tactical units. Like, I get that. But I think a large amount of the funding should be purposefully moved from tactical funding, which, again, is kind of redundant. You don't need as much as they have. And put it into genuine, like, community resources. Give cops more, like...
More training.
Yeah, more training. Like, but, like, legit training. Like unarmed combat training.
Fucking, like, talking someone off a ledge.
Yeah,
like, you'd think that that's something that cops would have to learn, but, like, there was a unit in, like, New York City that they got helped by the NYU, like, psychology department, and they're like, we're going to train how good you guys are at, like, talking someone down from being, like, good.
And all of them like, just fucking do it, loser. I don't fucking care.
Dude, I gotta get home. Baba's making casseroles. Come on, kill yourself already.
Dude, they all failed miserably, and they, like, said that just in, like, the 2 weeks that they did that course, they're like, that was the best training we've had the entire time we've been here.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's like they do a physical test, like, once.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, dude. Like, how many fat cops do you see? Like, there's so many things that the funding should go towards, like, fucking education systems for, like, you know, de-escalating situations, firearm training, unarmed training, like jujitsu,
that's where
or even
the
shit
unarmed
like that.
is like a big thing where it's like everyone's like, oh, why do cops need to like shoot this person?
Because they don't know how to do jujitsu.
Yeah, they're like they should be able to beat their ass and put them in handcuffs. And it's like,
okay, well, that's not the case.
Yeah,
that's a fair expectation if you trained these cops to be like black belts in a martial art.
Oh, for
like
sure.
then
But they're not.
The expectation is to kick their ass, but they're just some fucking dude who has to like run a mile and do some push-ups,
and they have to run a mile
every
in 12
once in a
minutes.
while. Yeah, it's like this dude has no training. He's not getting paid $40,000 to be like a fucking trained fighter
he's not Bruce
and
Lee.
like take these people out. Like obviously he's gonna grab his fucking Glock if shit gets dicey.
Oh, for sure.
That's
Well, I think
like unfortunate, but that's why we should improve it. And
yeah,
not,
and that's where the funding
just be
should
like,
go.
oh, take their fucking money away.
Yeah, no,
it's like now you just got a bunch of dickheads with Glocks.
Yeah,
because they got the ammo in the back.
They already bought a stockpile.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think a big thing too is like, and obviously like, I think a big thing is like they let too many people who shouldn't be cops because there's a lot of shitty cops out there.
Yeah,
but like
some insane people.
I think one thing that I find interesting is like they basically like if you look at cops now, like almost none of them have nightsticks anymore.
No,
like you remember back in the day,
yeah.
they all had
They
nightsticks.
don't have them on their belt
Because well, yeah, but think about it. Like if you were like a relatively athletic or fit police officer and you are in a situation with someone,
the nightstick will make you win even if you don't really know
like
what to
sure
do.
like there might have been like obviously there was probably a lot of incidents of like police brutality with a nightstick, but like
let's again look at the cops, not the nightstick.
Right, the cops in those situations were probably just huge pieces of shit who were using their power.
Beat the shit out of them.
It would have been a lot more shootings. No, exactly. So like I think that if you had a situation where they had, and like maybe a like, I'm not saying we should bring back nightsticks, but like replace the
what you're saying.
Yeah, replace the nightstick with like, hey, everyone's got to be a purple belt in jiu-jitsu.
I was gonna say even a purple belt would.
That's it.
You destroy the average dumbass, especially if they're on drugs.
Oh, for sure.
Throw their ass.
Or like every single police officer needs to go to, I don't know, high school wrestling practices for 3 months, like just to fucking learn how people, like how movement is. Because like if you, I don't know if either of you guys like wrestled or grappled before, but if you
has, not me.
I did a little bit of jujitsu.
Okay, yeah. So like if you roll with someone who doesn't know what they're doing, you know immediately. You know right away. So like if you give a guy like 3 months, 6 months of jujitsu training, or like even just basic wrestling, grappling, like it's like if I get into like a grappling tussle with someone, I know very easily how to manipulate their body to put them on the ground.
Yeah.
And they don't even realize that I'm doing that because they're not trained.
Yeah.
So if you're trained, you only need a certain level of training to be way more trained than the average person. The average person doesn't train.
Yeah. On the other hand, though, I did hear someone talking about it. Like, there are a lot more just like random dudes walking around that do know something too.
Oh, for sure.
It's even more important for fucking cops to be trained.
For sure.
Because there are just a bunch of average dudes walking around that could beat the fuck out of a cop if they wanted to.
Oh, 100%.
So it's like you got to be actually ready for that.
Like if you had a purple belt and a black belt got a hold of him, he would be. That'd be so funny because the cop, like the cop is going to run into like 99 people that aren't black belts before he runs into that one. So his confidence is all the way up.
Oh yeah,
and then he's just like, as soon as he feels his grip, because you can tell the difference between that
when
black
someone
belt
actually
grip,
grabs,
and then you're like, oh no, I made a horrible mistake.
That's when he's grabbing the Glock right away,
dude. That's where you go to. Oh my god, I would. But if you're trying to get like, if I saw Mo posting a thing where like they would throw a gun out and it was like two people with jujitsu, a fake gun, and like they would like be fighting for the gun.
The gun training or like the survival training. I saw about that.
And there was a guy that was like, if we're in close quarters and you pull out a gun, that's my gun now.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's horrifying to think that now there's niggas that like, if they're close enough to you and you pull the gun out, they're definitely
for sure. Well, like, and that's the thing too. Like most people I don't know, obviously like with the exception of like actual criminals or whatever who are like hardened dudes or were like, yeah, I don't give a fuck, I'll shoot you. Most people who pull guns are not prepared to actually use the gun. So like if you're ever in a situation where someone pulls a gun and it's like not a very sketchy criminal type that you could size it up pretty easily. Usually like just by talking to someone, you can tell if they're unhinged or not.
If they're willing to kill someone or not. Exactly. You might be surprised every once in a while, but usually.
But for the most part, like, so you can kind of know, like if someone pulls a gun, it's like, all right, like that guy pulled a gun. He took it to that level. I'm going to do what I have to survive this.
Dude, if I pull out a gun, I'm shooting instantly. Like, I don't even care if I have the shot lined up just to get the noise going. If you hear a gunshot and you're about to attack somebody, you're going to turn around. You don't want to fucking see. You don't want to stay and see if they're going to shoot you. I don't know, man. Like, think about it, though. Depending, like, if, like you and me, as close as we are sitting right now, if someone pulled a gun on me and I heard a gunshot, that's going to make me more willing to like, no, I'm murdering this person.
Because you might have got shot. Because you're going to hear the noise and not even feel it, too.
Exactly. The adrenaline's running. Like, and if you did get shot, especially if it was like a bad shot, like a shot that actually hurts you where you're bleeding out and shit, you're not even going to realize you were shot until you like are feeling lightheaded, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm bleeding out. I'm going to die right now.
Oh Jesus, dude, I never want to get shot, but kind of it would be cool, but kind of not.
You can put my plate carrier on and I'll shoot you.
Oh, would that stop me from like getting like? Would I just have like temporary damage if we did that?
You'd have a massive bruise and maybe a broken rib. In theory. Yeah. No, well, it depends. Like, what kind of round are you using? What's the distance?
The AK.
Fuck no, you do not want
Use the AK.
My plates are rated for it, but
yeah, but you don't want to test that shit. It's not something you want to just test for fun.
No, I would let you do that. Like Luke got tased, that'd be like the same thing.
No, it's not. Dude, I've been tased with those hand tasers. I've been tased with like a shot taser. I've been maced and pepper sprayed. Like there's levels of pain to shit.
You're like, if you're gonna stalk people, you have to be ready for the fucking consequences.
Well, so with tasers, like that little hand taser that like Luke got tased with. So there was a couple friends of mine. They lived in a house in college by UNR, and a chick who lived upstairs was a stripper, and she was like a fun chick. She would always like party with us, but she had like tasers and mace and shit for like, because she's a stripper. She left the hand taser at the house once when she like left. So for like most of a day, we just ran around the house tasing each other.
That's funny as fuck.
It was hella funny. But yeah, the hand tasers aren't that bad. The shot tasers, those are way worse.
Those hit different.
Those, right? So much worse.
And that's just like localized shock rather than like running an arc across two.
Well, so it's mostly like, I mean, if you get hit with the hand taser and like they keep it on, it's like a similar feel as like the shot, but the thing with the shot is they have barbed hooks, so they stick in your skin and it runs a current for
between the two, right?
Yeah, like 15, 20 seconds or whatever, and then it stops. But then if they pull the trigger, it reactivates.
Nice.
So they can literally just tase you and just like right when you're fine, just.
I was thinking about getting a cattle prod. Like just to walk around with?
No. Dude, that'll kill somebody.
What?
There's so many volts of... Dude, a cattle rod? Yeah. Like, have you seen how fucking big, like, rodeo cattles are? Like, fucking 1,200-pound bulls? Dude, but like, and they use that to fucking take care of those dudes? That would kill a regular person.
But, like, what if there's a lot of people that are in my way and I want them to know? Like,
I mean, like,
get the fuck out of my way.
Maybe if they're all first person, and then like they're all touching each other, so it just goes through the crowd.
That would be sick.
Like some fucking Raiden from Mortal Kombat shit. Just
I would just throw the thing in the river and be like, oh, I have no idea what happened here. Dude, like,
throw it in the river and it kills everyone up and down for miles.
Just everybody.
All the fish float up.
Somehow people are dying and we don't know.
I would lay on the ground and be like, oh, I got shocked too.
No, dude, it's 2023. You're a black man. You'd be fine.
Dude, yeah. I don't know what happened.
And as long as everyone was white, you'd be a hero. Be like, yeah, it was a Klan rally, and he took them all out.
Dude, this heroic black person
on their bodies,
right? Dude,
no, those are the body bags. No, they're hoods.
Yeah. We were talking about that video of that dude in San Francisco that was like hosing down the lady.
Oh, the homeless broad. Yeah,
I was like, that was the nice way. Like, if it was me, I would have called the fucking firefighters, had them tap the fucking fire extinguisher, and I would have got rid of the problem. And like they would have recorded it and like just had the white part of my hands in the video and been like, racist store owner fucking does. And then like they get the full video where it's actually me in it and they're like, oh.
Dude, that reminds me of a bit from a Family Guy episode where Cleveland, his son, got shot. And it was like this big deal because they were saying like Peter did it. So there was like the whole town's outside of his house. Like, how dare you shoot an unarmed black kid? And the news is there. And then like Cleveland comes out and he's like, Peter, I'm sorry that this happened to you. And Cleveland went up to the news and was like, I, Cleveland Brown, a black man, shot Cleveland Brown Jr., another black man. And it's like the camera's on his face. And then when the camera goes like to the wide shot again, everybody's gone.
Yeah, because they're like, oh no, yeah.
And Peter's just like, what'd you do? And Cleveland was like, oh, you want to make people stop talking about a shooting of a black man? Just say a black man did it.
Dude, like Chicago, like the Black Lives Matter people, they're like all in fucking LA and shit. And it's like, why don't you take a trip down to Chicago and see who's really killing the black people?
Go up to St. Louis.
Oh my god! But dude, that was a fucking long ass episode.
Oh shit! Yeah,
that
we had 217.
That might be second.